Hello, my name is SteveSekai and I lost 10 pounds in 1 month using manga. And no, that's not a joke. Those of you who already know manga and anime, you are probably aware that there are plenty of both that basically act as backdoor instruction guides on how to get into various hobbies. Whether it be DIY crafting or winter camping, if you want a new hobby, there are plenty of manga that are happy to sell you on one. For the purposes of this video, we're going to be talking about 2 manga, and if you're already aware of either one, their inclusion probably won't surprise you. First off is Plus Sized Elf, a manga that I first saw at Barnes & Noble with a friend and instantly thought of making a video on. That was 3 years ago. The second series you may be more likely to know as it already had an anime adaptation. It's How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift. While both series primarily act as ecchi comedy and gag manga, they both also try to instill lessons on healthy living and exercise for newcomers. And so I had the brilliant idea of asking, how useful are they? As someone who is admittedly overweight and not very well versed in exercise and definitely not diet, can I really use these as guides to shed the pounds? Are they entirely BS? Or are they actually well-researched tools just hidden behind some goofy comedy and a lot of naked ladies? So I endeavored to find out. I spent the past 4 weeks dieting and exercising using the tips, tools, and workouts that both of these manga recommend to see if these really are useful guides for beginners, or just another case of somebody who already knows what they're talking about overestimating the abilities of someone who doesn't know what they're doing. And to those of you who are brand new to this stuff like I am, I tried my best to distill a lot of the information into this video, as well as interviewed a personal trainer and exercise scientist, who also just happens to be my cousin, throughout the process to see what information in this manga was actually valid, maybe BS, or perhaps just needed a little expanding upon. And if I can be quite honest, I'm really proud of what we made. Because trust me, I am well aware of how hard it is to try and start this stuff and see people who are already super fit telling you what to do and go, you're already there though. You don't know how hard it is for me. You don't know what it's like to just start. Well, I'm not fit. So this entire video is from a beginner's perspective. So I tried to make this as accessible as possible because I needed it to be as accessible as possible. I didn't know what I'm doing, and I still kind of don't. So the questions I felt like I was asking were not just for you, but also equally for me. So hopefully everyone can get something out of this. Not just entertainment, but also a little piece of information you may or may not have known. But I suppose the real question is, did it work? How much did the manga actually help? Well, let's go back 4 weeks and 10 pounds ago to find out. It is day 0 before I start this. This has to be, I think, the second scariest day. I think tomorrow will be the scariest because I actually have to start doing things. But all I can think about today is how much I need to prepare myself for tomorrow. I am thinking about how I'm gonna have to wake up at 8 a.m. I'm not gonna be allowed to have any caffeine. I have to go buy a bunch of vegetables. Something I've never done. I know that by the end of this, I will probably feel so much better about myself and my health. I just don't like the fact that to get there, tomorrow I have to give up French fries. I will be completely honest. I am at my absolute worst in terms of my physical health. I just don't exercise, I don't eat right, and I know this is something that I have needed to change for a long time, but I just haven't done it. You know, I've just lived with that guilt, knowing that, oh, I need to go get a gym membership, I need to start eating more vegetables, and I just don't ever feel like it. Enter this video, because apparently the only way to get me to do something is if it's for content. I am a mess of a human being. Most content creators, you know, they say they will do anything for content. For me, it seems to be the opposite. I need content to make me do anything. Otherwise, I will just sit upstairs on my couch and do fucking nothing with my life. I will be honest, at the time of recording this, I have read through the amount of Plus Sized Elf that I need to get through to prepare for this week. I have not started how heavy are the dumbbells you lift, but I'm going to try and do that tomorrow morning with all the extra time that I have now that I'm waking up at 8 a.m. And hopefully once I have both of those, that'll be able to springboard me into what I need to do for this week. Outside of doing specifically what these things recommend, I'm also going to cut out drinking anything that is not water, with the exception of SteveSekai, but I'm contractually obligated to do that. Which means no more caffeine, no more Diet Coke. That is honestly probably the thing I'm most scared about. I know I can go without drinking caffeine, but the way that I know that also taught me I am addicted to it because I start to get headaches and feel awful for the whole time that I'm not drinking it. So hopefully by the end of the month, I will have detoxed off of that. That would be great. If that is the only thing that happens in this month, that probably would make this whole thing worth it. Hopefully, I will lose some weight. I will be able to fit into a few things that I don't quite fit into anymore. When I moved here, I still wore a large. So this might be a little too ambitious, but I don't think I'm that far off from it. I would like to be able to comfortably fit into a large again. By the end of this month. I don't know if that's gonna happen. I might have to cut this from the video out of shame. It feels really weird reading a manga about losing weight and staring at it, feeling like a fat ass just sitting here, but also having that anxiety of knowing tomorrow that starts. I have to do that in less than 24 hours. So part of me sits here and goes, I need to do that. And the other part says, oh God, I don't want to. I can't believe I'm doing this. I legitimately don't know how this is gonna go. I don't know if this is gonna work. I don't know if I will keep up with it. I pray to God that I do. I am not looking forward to being close to vegetarian for at least a week, but here we are. Come hell or high water, I'm making this video. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go enjoy a burger and some fries and probably some dessert because the way it looks right now, it's the last time I'm gonna get to enjoy them for at least a month. Well, it is the morning of day one. I slept like absolute shit. I am running on about maybe 3 hours of sleep. Just a great way to start this process, especially when I'm not allowed to have caffeine. I may end up taking a nap today. I think I'm allowed to do that. I never take naps. I think I am justified in this instance. I'm gonna try and record at least one thing per day. I don't know if you'll see all of it, but expect actually a lot of things for today because it's day one. And I got a lot of stuff to do today. And now I have to do it on 3 hours of sleep. Well, let's do it. I would like to preface this by saying, this is a bad idea. Do not do this. There's a good chance that this could make you way too sore to actually go on to exercise the next day. But I'm a content creator, so let's set a baseline using the One Punch Man workout. God. Step 1, running a 10K. Done. I can't run for shit. I'm just not even gonna bother with that one. The plan is to do as many of the 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 squats that I can, and see how much I have improved by the end of the month when I do it then. Originally, I was gonna go until I collapsed on each one, but that's an extra awful idea because I know I don't want to be too sore for tomorrow. And going raw into this many push-ups, sit-ups, and squats will do that. So I'm just gonna do as many as I am comfortable doing. I'm not gonna go until I physically collapse, but I will push myself as hard as I can. So let's do this. Camera's already standing, so I guess I'll do squats first. Oh, it already hurts. 25. Oh, I'm gonna stop there. My thighs already hurt, so it's time for sit-ups. Oh, see, ooh. One more. 17. Ugh. No, okay. It's gonna be 17. Whew. I might have been able to do a few more, but I'm gonna stop there. If I can even do 10 push-ups, I'm counting that as a win. Oh God, nope, yeah, no. We're stopping there. Final count. Oh, that's our baseline. The real shit starts tomorrow. God help me. I'm back. I got a haircut. I got a gym membership. I can't really show you that one. I bought a Brita filter because the tap water here tastes like ass. It's red because I like red. I bought a scale so I can remind myself of how fucking fat I am. And some groceries. Let's go through this real quick. Chicken, pork, yogurt, pickles, broccoli, cauliflower, tomatoes, romaine, zucchini, and a squash. Just a fuckload of apples, peppers, celery, spinach, 2 potatoes, some way too expensive protein bars, tofu, pretty sure I have an intolerance to this, a delicious local seasoning, olive oil, couldn't be me, some Caesar dressing, Buffalo Wild Wings Asian Zing sauce, not sponsored, butter for cooking, not for eating. Finally, some aluminum foil and plastic wrap. These are for eating. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, I'm great. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. My name is Heath. I'm a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor. I'm super excited to be, working on you with this. I'm excited to get started.
I am excited as well. Thank you so much for doing this. I've got a few questions here for you that not only pertain to me, but I think to a lot of people who are going to be trying to do this. Let's start with some questions for the beginners, for myself. What would you say is a good kind of exercise plan for beginners? Should you do arms and then legs and then core, or what is a good few days or what have you?
So that's a bit of a tough question. As I study exercise science, as I've been learning, a lot of the answers are, unfortunately, it depends, and it's based on your goals. Some people want to be, ripped and have that, we kind of call it the aesthetic fitness, which is, that strength you see a lot in animes, Baki Hamnas, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, some people want the toned bodies, they go to yoga every day and, they look really fit. And, some people just want general, movement stuff, it hurts my back when I bend over to pick this up, so I need to do that. But, for beginners, some of my advice, start out super light. There will be crazy, insane people on the internet who will be like, all right, if you're going to jump in, you need to dedicate yourself, 4 hours a day, 7 days a week. No. because nobody wants to actually do that. And as part of learning to be a personal trainer is getting those people in, and a big part of it is motivation. You're not going to be motivated to go 7 days a week from the jump. So start light, 3 to 4 days a week. Three is like my recommendation. You don't have to do that much. Plenty of rest, that's fine. Um, and like you said, if you spend a day doing cardio, you run for, 30 minutes one day, that's your workout. Next time you go in, it's not going to be as helpful to run again for another 30 minutes. So, you stop and maybe do core work that day, do a bunch of sit-ups, do a bunch of planks, that kind of stuff. I think the point you brought up about, working in intervals is really good. I have a big running background. I played soccer, I did cross country, I did track. So that's a lot of, what informs how I work out. But running is just so helpful. People sleep on running continuously. It's really great, for your heart health. It's really great for fat loss. It's not complicated. You probably I hope you've done it before in your life. But people know how to run, and it's really easy. Let's see. Last little thing, I guess, core work. Everybody wants a six-pack ab. You can have a six-pack ab, but if you have good core strength, it's good for your posture, sitting up straight, and that's something as a society we're sort of at our desk crouched over for most of the time. Yeah, and you automatically have to straighten up a little bit, of course.
Yeah.
But that's good for posture. And anytime you move forward as you get more experience in the gym and you're doing more complicated movements, having that good base core strength is, super helpful. Super, super helpful. Sorry, I said last thing. This is the last bit on this point. This is not always available to people. Some people don't quite want to do it. Sometimes they want to learn themselves, and sometimes it's too costly. Find one of those, organized gyms. There's, F45, Orange Theory, that kind of stuff. A large barrier to fitness, like we're talking about now, is knowing exactly what to do when you start. And there's absolutely no shame in finding, a place that creates that program for you. And you participate with that for, 2 months until you start getting used to your body and getting used to some of those basic movements that they introduce in there.
I signed up at Planet Fitness, and I noticed that when I got a tour there, he explained every machine has a QR code that'll show you a video in their app of exactly how to use that machine. And then I don't know if it's on both of their plans, but on the little more expensive one, they also have video workouts, kind of like an F45 or an Orange Theory, where it'll show you a trainer and they'll walk you through everything, and you'll get the full workout that way. Not sponsored. That's just where I'm going.
Yet.
Let's see.
Yet.
Oh my gosh. What I've heard a lot in the past and in these manga that I'm reading, both of them talk about even if you don't want to get ripped, you should still do weight training, because building that muscle burns the fat throughout the day, as opposed to cardio, which is kind of usually just as you're doing it. That is correct, I assume?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I do want to say that usually you do burn about the same amount of calories. Obviously if you're doing a really easy jog, and then, you max out your weight, you're probably going to burn more calories than the max weight. But that's kind of one of the main reasons why, people don't like running, because it is tiring. It is more than weight training. It gets your heart rate up a lot more. You have to work your body a lot more, and it burns calories faster and in the moment. Which is why, when you can lift weights for, 30 minutes and not feel too fatigued. Maybe your muscles and your arms are tired, but you're not out of breath. You're not sagging in your posture, that kind of stuff that might happen when you run. So I have to say that, yeah, it burns about the same amount of calories. Kind of disagree there. It's just when you want to burn the calories. I will agree that doing both at the same time is so helpful, so wonderful. And regardless of if you want to get shredded, it's in longevity, like when you're 60, 70, that muscle training is going to catch up with you. You know, it's going to be beneficial there about that time.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then you had said go light, and you meant in terms of time, but in my head I thought about how in the weightlifting one, they like make a point several times to be like, oh no, it doesn't matter, like they do bench presses, but she doesn't have any weights on at first, or he hands a girl some dumbbells for some curls and goes, and she's like, is this gonna work when it's so light? And he's like, yes, it's far more about getting the form down early, and then as you build that strength, that's when you'll be able to go heavier. And you and it even specifically calls out guys. It's like a lot of guys will go in and think that they need to pick up the heaviest thing they can, and that ends up hurting them in the long run, or even in the short run.
For sure. We call that second scenario, with the guys, we call it an ego lift. Because it's not so much about improving yourself. It's about, okay, you know, how can I move the largest amount of weight? And most times it's like, oh, people are watching me in the gym. I gotta lift heavy, like no matter what that means. And then to like the earlier point about, you know, the weight range, I mean, chef's kiss. The way they put it there is perfect. It does feel silly. I'm working with a personal training client now, who, you know, is very new to the gym, getting into it. And there have been times where I've handed him really light weights, and he's like, I can see it in his face. He's like, I'm not doing anything here.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you have to get the movement down. You have to know the proper range you can move in, what the movement's supposed to look and feel like, before you can move up those weights. And it feels silly, but it's so necessary. It never feels silly going a little bit light if you feel like the form is not quite there.
We talked about, you know, kind of going to a place that might teach you how to do it, but if somebody maybe can't afford that or feels a little too self-conscious, what would you say are some good exercises to do for beginners that, you know, maybe they could do at home, or if they have a normal gym membership, can do there, etc.?
Again, kind of depends on your goals, but for like general fitness, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but machines. Tons of machines at just about every gym. Like you said, they have a QR code. The one at my local gym has little tiny, you know, pictures where they show, okay, this is where you start in the movement, this is where you end. Has a little diagram of like, oh, this is the muscle it's gonna hit. I'll always, you know, gas up machines. They're really good to add load while keeping you in the proper form. A lot of free weights, which is, you know, the dumbbells, the kettlebells, the big barbells, that kind of stuff. You may be able to put more weight on yourself with those, but machines are really good for beginners for, you know, establishing the form, keeping you in that form, and that sort of helps you get used to the form. So machines are a big go for me. And like just about any of them. I think there's very few machines I can think of like off the top of my head that I'd be like, avoid those. And a lot of them, as we said, will have instructions for you, and that's super great for beginning. Let's see. To me, some of the most like important movements are getting squats, lunges, and hinging. Now, hinging is the movement at the waist. If you think of like a deadlift, when people bend over, you know, kind of fold themselves at the waist to pick that heavy load up. Those include big, very important muscle groups in your body that are good to, you know, establish a baseline for improving the rest of your body. So those are good. There are hundreds upon thousands of videos online talking about the proper form and where to put your hands and that kind of stuff. And a lot of that comes up to personal preference. I will recommend, if you can find a video with a South African instructor, an Australian instructor. Those two parts of the world, I mean, they are the front of exercise science. They're killing it out there. If you open up a video and you catch one of those accents, you can probably say to yourself, okay, this person probably knows what they're talking about. Not only that, like if I look into the YouTube description, I'm probably going to find a study that this is based off of, research that this is based off of. So again, yeah, finding good sources for those movements, and then talked about it earlier, running. No matter if it's a strength or cardio day, I always start my workouts with a 5-minute run.
Okay.
That's good for getting my heart rate up, getting better blood flow, which will help my muscles move more. I've talked about it's good for fat loss. Those kind of would be my big few points.
As a beginner, I can see myself doing it, and I am sure a lot of people do it. And by do it, I mean overdo it, where you go the first day, and like you said, you maybe aren't so tired when you're doing weights, and so then you end up doing too much, and then you are so dead the next day that you just end up quitting right away. So how can a beginner kind of know when they should stop, or kind of gauge that sensation of, I should end it here so I can come back tomorrow or the next day?
It's a tough read for sure. And it happens a lot with beginners, and it's something as a trainer we have to avoid. And even as a fitness instructor, if I see someone come into the class, I keep an eye on them in the case like, okay, they're very enthusiastic. It's clear they want to get better. They are working really, really hard. I hope they're okay tomorrow. And it's tough to really prescribe an easy fix for that. We do want to avoid, we call it overtraining, which is that feeling when you lift heavy one day and then the next morning you wake up and you're stiff as a board, your sores all get out, and you just don't want to get out of bed. How do we avoid that? And I want to say pace yourself. We really want to avoid like ego lifting. That's what leads to that straining, the overtraining, is the ego lifting. We want to be pushing ourselves to get better. We want to push ourselves to get to that next weight, to run a little bit faster, to do a couple more sit-ups, whatever. But if you're starting to get to a point where it's like, okay, I can mentally, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm sort of getting to the breaking point. Stop there. Like, don't think you have to push back past where you're comfortable just because you want to get in better shape. Because that's when the overtraining happens, is when we're pushing ourselves too far mentally, physically, and that comes in to catch us later. Call it early if you feel yourself getting to that end point. Along with that, specifically with strength training, there's something, it's pain versus strain is the nice rhyming phrase they like to use. What's painful and what's just straining my muscles? What's going to do damage what's going to do, permanent damage versus what's going to break down my muscles a little bit so they build back stronger tomorrow. That again is an exertion thing. It's a lot of internal feelings. Whenever I go into a gym and I start doing a movement, I have in my brain, I've got a scale from 1 to 10. And what I've gotten it from, it's called the RPE, the rate of perceived exertion. So basically just mentally how much you think you're working. If I'm going for like maximum weight, I don't want to go past an 8. I hardly ever want to go to a 10 unless like I'm getting tested for something, which hardly anybody's doing. Like professional athletes, have to push themselves as hard as they can, like 3 days a year. They'll reach that 10 3 days a year for that testing to see where they're at. But other than that, like I never push myself past what I perceive as a 7. Because I know that anything past that is going to kick my ass tomorrow. So it's all just, I hate to say it's up to you, But when you go into a gym, like look up and say, okay, I've got this scale from 1 to 10, or I've got my body's a color. It's either green or it's red. I'm starting to hit that yellow mark, that orange mark. Okay, I'm gonna stretch, sleep well tomorrow, and I'm gonna go back to maybe the yellow tomorrow, and that should get you from day to day pretty easily, I think.
I think it's interesting how you mentioned, calling it early and really listening to yourself. Because what I was kind of impressed by in the very first chapter of How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift, he says, let's do some bench presses. Try for 3 sets of 10. And then she is dying afterwards, and he goes, you did 7, 5, and 3. That's incredible for a beginner. Great job. And, yep. I think that is kind of really important, psychologically even, just to tell yourself, I need to do what I can do, not what Amen. I think I should do,
Amen. When we're developing plans, they always tell us working with clients, okay, play to their strengths first before you try to build up their weaknesses. And that's the thing, do what you know you can. That's fine. That's perfect. Now, sometimes you start, with the bench press, you start doing when you can, and, maybe the next week she comes in, she does 8. And then the next time she's like, oh, I only did 3. And then she does 4. You're going to surprise yourself as you make those progress, when you're under the load and you tell yourself, oh, wait, this doesn't feel as tiring as last week. I'm going to do 1 more. But you have to find your way there. You have to find yourself there. Don't let anybody tell you the correct way to do it. Find yourself there. I will say a little disclaimer, if you hire a personal trainer, that is our job. Trust your trainer, trust that they know what they're talking about. That said, a good trainer will always, as they're keeping an eye on you as you do the work. And yeah, if you stop at 4, then they're going to be like, okay, 4, perfect, good work. That'll be it for today. It's easy as that. You said it perfectly. Do what you can. That's what's most important. Do what you can, and then you can build up to where other people say, I guess if you'd like, or where you want to be as time goes on.
I ask this because one of the manga states, being active in the morning, pretty much first thing after he wakes up, keeps your biological clock working properly, etc., etc. And so, is it better to do it kind of first thing in the morning, wake up and do it, or is it fine to wait until later in the afternoon, do it before bed, what have you?
My answer is always whenever you can. No matter how long, no matter what time of the day, if you only have 5 minutes to do sit-ups, do the 5 minutes of sit-ups. If you got 30 minutes in the afternoon, you want to go on a walk or you want to go on a run, then slip that in. Whenever you can, it's not going to not be beneficial. There's some caveats there that I'm going to get into in a second. But, finding the time is tough. Busy schedules, it's, especially when people get older, we have to factor in kids, work, what you have to do in the evening. So it's tough to find that time. I will say routine is super helpful. It's not required. It's super helpful. Obviously we're pretty routine creatures. We'd like to wake up and go to sleep at the same time. We try to eat at the same time, yada yada. And I think exercise is pretty much the same. That regularity will obviously mean a very steady progression. If every day, or not every day, but when you want to work out, you're gonna wake up this many times a week and you're gonna work for this long, then that okay, I'm gonna steadily make gains versus okay, I'm just finding time here and there. So setting a routine is really good, and it makes it easier to stick to the plan. If okay, I'm going to set my alarm 30 minutes earlier. That said, I don't think there's really a time of day that I'd suggest. Mornings are really good. Your body's super fresh, and it's I love to work out in the morning because it wakes me up. Kind of to his point, it gets my body's clock running, it gets my processes firing, that kind of stuff. But some people hate working out in the morning because they don't like, the fatigue it puts on their body. Maybe they wake up and, they're feeling groggy, and then they go try to work out, and now their brain's groggy and their body's tired, and it's awful. Luckily for me, like, most of my stuff is sitting at a desk, and I'm, working with my brain, so I don't need my body so much. But, working out in the morning can be detrimental like that. Working in the evening, is perfectly fine too. Again, wherever you find the time. Your body's usually a little bit more tired just because you've been walking around and you've been moving with your day. Makes perfect sense. And your brain's a little bit tired. You've been awake, you've been thinking, you've been, maybe you've been at the computer, you've been working on a project or whatever all day. Your brain's a little bit fatigued too, and that can sometimes lead to, slips in form and that kind of stuff. But again, having awareness of that, just that fact, will help when you go in the evenings, okay, I'm going to tack, one more set off of all of my exercises. Instead of doing an exercise 5 times, I'm only going to do it 4 times because I know my body's tired. And, this movement's really complicated to me right now. And my brain's feeling a little groggy. I can feel myself slipping. I'm not going to do that today. I don't think there's I don't think there's a best time of the day to exercise. Each little bit has its caveats. Now, this is good. I'm glad we talked about this next. Eating, sleeping, and stress.
Mm-hmm.
So important. This is, anytime any of these are in trouble, it's a bad time to exercise. You should not be exercising. As you say, if you wake up with 3 hours of sleep, your body's already kind of fighting itself. And so going for a long run or going for a heavy weight, your body just doesn't have the wherewithal to, function that way and then recover from it. Same with, food. If you don't have the proper fuel, you're not going to be able to work as hard, and it's going to feel kind of like wasted time sometimes, I think. And a big part of weight training, some people don't know this, is that you move the weights and your muscles get damaged. That's kind of the point of exercise, is to damage the muscles so that they adapt and they heal themselves to be better. Now, if your body you're not eating well, your body doesn't have those building blocks to rebuild that muscle. So you're just breaking down muscle, and then they're just broken. That happened a lot with me, at the beginning of college. I would work out a ton. Some days, I'd work out every day a week. Sometimes I worked out twice a day. And I wasn't eating well enough. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that phase, exactly. And after 3 weeks, like, I thought I was gonna die. It was devastating to me. And so I had to make the changes. I had to say, okay, nutrition has to come first.
Mm-hmm.
Diet has to come before exercise. And we can talk about diet a little bit, but that's like a big thing, is that my professors in the exercise science department begrudgingly would admit that, like, okay, what we're doing is important. The nutrition professors next door, they know they have to come first. So eating and fueling right is so important. You have to be able to sleep well, to recover and heal. And then stress. You can find it anywhere, what stress does to the body, physiologically. Not only mentally, like, of course, if you're really frazzled, it's tough to get into the gym and enjoy yourself there. But physiologically, your body's a wreck. One of the first things I do with personal clients every single session is I start with a 3 to 5 minute walk just on the treadmill or wherever we are. And I just ask them about their day. How have you slept? How did you eat? Tell me your workload, for the week. Maybe if it's a student, they've got a ton of classes, they got 3 exams this week. I have to bring the program down just because I know, like, I don't want to add to that stress. I don't want to push them further than their body's already desperately trying to work to keep up with. And, there's always a push to do more and to do better. It's that kind of ego, the aesthetic. It's kind of a societal norm, unfortunately, that, to look a certain way and to work a certain way to get there. Take a break. There is I mean, if you wake up, you're super stressed, you had a shit dinner, and you can't sleep, it is so much better just to take a rest day. Let yourself, recuperate, recover, get back in there the next day and, figure it out. But I think in terms of best time to exercise, after all that, it not really a best time. Mornings are very good because your body's fresh, but if your mind doesn't really like it, or if you find yourself more tired as you move through the day, and it's not waking you up, it's just kind of dragging you down, then go with the evenings at the end of the day when you have time.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to know, do you have any other final notes before I shoot off into this week? And Lord knows what's going to happen to me, but hopefully good things.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll have my fingers crossed over here for you too.
Thank you.
Good luck. Don't let the mental scare you away. Half the battle with exercises, no matter your level, no matter your amount of experience, half the battle is mental. Don't scare yourself away. It's good to know your limits and know where and when to stop. But don't be afraid to try for one more if you think you have one more. A quick example, some of the research I'm doing now is, we have participants go through 10 rep max on bench press, which means the largest load they can move 10 times up and down. And what I always see is, people will get to about the 7 and 8 mark, and you can see them slow down because it's heavy weight. Mm-hmm. And I always chime in and I'm like, hey, don't lose the mental. Because, your body can probably move the weight. You need to tell your mind that you can't. And then, I make that little note and I see the 8th and the 9th get so much easier. Now, the 10th is always going to be a fight because it's the last one. But, don't scare yourself away. Don't scare yourself away. It's intimidating to get started. But don't let it be scary. That'd probably be my last little bit.
All right, it's day 2. I just got back from the gym. I got some nice eggs here. I'm gonna eat. As I was saying, I just got back from the gym. And I hate to say this, but I feel kind of good. Yeah, a lot of my body hurts right now, but I feel good. I've been kind of plotting this whole thing out in my head, even though I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm just guessing kind of how this narrative is gonna end up going. And I was imagining by the end I'd probably end up saying like, oh, I feel so much better, I'm so glad I did this. I'm hoping that's what happens. I wasn't really ready for me to be saying that on day 2. I legitimately feel good after that workout. I don't know how that will change when I wake up tomorrow morning and maybe my entire upper half just is screaming in pain. But for right now, it's nice. I'm kind of happy that I'm doing this now. As you probably noticed, the weight was down a pound. Wow, already? What progress? No, I'm pretty sure that's just because I weighed myself like in the middle of the day yesterday after I'd eaten and I'd been up and all that. And from what I've heard, you're supposed to wake up, poop, and then weigh yourself. Otherwise, that's pretty much it for today. I'm just gonna keep trying to eat better, get some of this video edited, and maybe work on some other stuff. While it's fairly common knowledge that you should stretch before a workout, you should be careful of this common misconception. The kind of stretches you likely think of and that you're seeing here are called static stretches. While very good for helping the muscles heal after a workout, doing them beforehand can actually increase the chance of injury and decrease your muscles' efficiency. While doing a few static stretches before a workout can help, what you should really aim for are called dynamic stretches. As the name implies, not only does this help loosen the muscles, but also warms them up, so that you can have a more effective workout. Doing these will help you stay safe, prevent injury, have a more productive workout, and keep you from being too sore the next day. What you're seeing here are the dynamic stretches recommended in how heavy are the dumbbells you lift. But if you want more, there are plenty of resources online that'll help give you the kind of dynamic stretches you need for your workout. So remember, dynamic stretches before and static stretches after. I am back from my second day at the gym. I did legs today. I think I might have gone a little too hard. So we're gonna see if I'm even able to walk tomorrow. Probably not, because I also have to stand for several hours at work tonight. So that's just gonna be real fun. Cheat day, it's a cheat day. Let's go! Hey everybody, it's my cheat day. Now, I know what you are probably thinking. Cheat days are just BS, made up excuses for people to give up for a day, if not more, and just eat whatever the fuck they want. But actually, they're very important to helping the effectiveness of your diet. To keep it simple, like how heavy the dumbbells you lift does, when your body gets used to that low caloric intake of your diet, it starts to think that something's up. It starts to enter a low energy mode and burns less calories because it thinks it has less to work with. But taking a cheat day is not only an excuse to eat your favorite foods, but tricks your body into still thinking it has that amount of calories that it's used to, and so will continue to burn at that rate. Also, it is an excuse to eat your favorite foods, but that will help keep you motivated to keep going. You don't have to necessarily fully give up what you love, you just have to limit it, preferably to about 1 day a week. Now, there is a whole lot more about dieting that I will talk about later, but specifically today, I wanted to make a mistake. I can't believe what I'm about to do. I'm back, and I figured it'd be funny for my cheat day to do the worst possible thing that I could think of. So I got the KFC Double Down. Side notes, first of all, I got the combo, which is supposed to come with a medium drink and fries. First off, there are no fries. KFC kind of screwed me over there, but technically they're also keeping me to my diet because I said no fries. So here we are. The other thing was, it's supposed to come with a medium drink. And so I was gonna try the Mountain Dew Sweet Lightning, their exclusive flavor, to just really get the whole awful experience, but they didn't have it. So I asked for a Diet Pepsi, and they gave me a can. What? Let's just do this. Oh my god. It is so much bigger than I thought it was going to be. This might kill me. This would have killed me before I started the diet. For those of you who don't know, the Double Down is a sandwich, a cheese and bacon sandwich, only instead of a bun, it's 2 large pieces of fried chicken. If this doesn't kill me, nothing can. I'm legitimately scared. Oh my god. There is so much there. It's not like horrendous. It's just probably the worst possible thing you can put in your body. So I looked it up. The original Double Down was apparently 540 calories, something like that. This one is over 900. This is almost double the amount of calories as the first time they had this sandwich. Oh god, I looked back down at the sandwich and remembered what I'm doing. How do people like, what's his name? Guy Fieri. How do they do this? I'm a fat ass. I can put away some big food. But shit like this, just, I wouldn't want this normally. Oh, that bite was so peppery. You have to unhinge your jaw like a snake. Let me get a shot of the inside too. That doesn't look like it should be consumed by humans. You know what I mean? And now it's also all over my floor, so that's fun. I'm running out of top bun chicken. I'm gonna be immobile for hours after this. Just with a tummy ache. While I'm standing here It is Friday. That means SteveSekai. You can find it on twitch.tv/SteveSekai, or maybe sometimes right here on YouTube, 7 to 11 p.m. EST. Why am I eating it so fast? I think I just want it to be over with. I think that's why. Why is the chicken so big? Like, look at the Ludwig commercial. Look at how small it looks in his hands. I thought it was gonna be like that big. No, this thing was fucking gigantic. This is the last bite. To be fair, how heavy are the dumbbells you lift? Do phrase it as daring to overeat. And that was daring. That was a challenge mentally and physically. If someone can eat that regularly, like not as a bit, fucking kudos. It's not horrendous or anything, it's just so much. My stomach is already upset. I can already feel my stomach churning after that. I'm gonna have to end this real quick. Wish me luck. Oh God. So today is a rest day, and I will explain more about rest days and what you could / maybe should do during them later on in the video. I can't front load everything into this first week. That's later. For today, I'm just gonna chill. Hello and welcome to day 7. It's been a week. I've done it. Well, I'm doing it, I guess. I have to get through the rest of today, but hopefully that shouldn't be an issue. So far, so good. I'm not gonna lie. I feel quite a bit better already. A lot of the issues that I had been having before that I was attributing to like allergies or just, I don't even know what, just being me, have cleared up substantially, if not almost entirely. I don't know what was causing them per se. Like, I've really only been drinking water. Maybe it's that. Maybe that's why I'm not as thirsty anymore. Maybe it's because I haven't really had any gluten or, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna have to slowly start reintroducing things and seeing what makes me go back to feeling sick like that. As you've probably seen from this corner, number went down and the number did go up a little bit, but that's actually probably kind of a good thing. I will get to that tomorrow in another interview. We'll talk about that and why the number go up isn't actually necessarily a bad thing, and if that happens to you, you should actually maybe even take it as motivation that you've been doing well. I think what this week has proven is that, for me at least, well, I suppose in a sense, this is kind of true for everybody, but in different ways. But for me, it was really psychological in that I get handed food and then I feel like I need to finish it. And so I would want something. I would want a burger and fries. I would want pasta. I would want something big. And then because I felt like I had to finish it, almost as like a politeness thing that I just had to do it, that caused me to overeat way more than I needed to or should have been. Because this week, when I've been thinking about how much I've been eating, I find myself having no troubles eating the amount of calories that I need to be in a deficit. But even so, ending up being in like a massive deficit. You burn like 2,000 naturally, I'll burn like another 500 to 1,000, and then I just don't eat a ton. I really don't feel the need to eat that much. I'll eat maybe 1,500 calories in a day. Even my cheat day, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure if I ate more than I burned that day. I think I might have still technically been in a deficit because I just didn't feel like eating. So that is definitely the biggest thing that I'm trying to focus on. So maybe going forward, I think I'm gonna try and be a little more lenient. You know, I'm not gonna go eat a burger. Still not allowed to do that. But if I know I haven't eaten many calories, I won't feel bad about eating, I don't know, chicken tenders or something. Something that is good to me, that I enjoy, that I know is not gonna push me over. And the important thing is remembering that I really don't need to finish whatever the meal is. I can put it in a box, take it home, eat it the next day. And that's something I'll talk about later on in another one of the diet sections, is why you should be eating 3 meals a day, why letting yourself get hungry like that and then eating a lot to feel full is actually a really bad idea. And knowing that now, I feel like that is something I can keep sustainable for the rest of my life. Now that I know I really need to just stop ordering a double quarter pounder and a large fries when I could just get... Now, I would still get a quarter pounder mainly because it's just the only good burger that McDonald's has if I were to go there. It's the only fresh meat, interesting fact. And a medium fry. Like, I really don't need that much food. Went to the gym 4 out of 7 days this week, but that's because day 1 was the One Punch Man thing. So this coming week it'll probably be 5 out of 7. And every day I've done an extra mile walk on top of that. And I've been working, and my job requires me to be on my feet and walking around a lot too. So my legs are very tired. They're still a little sore. I'm working on my back a lot because my back is terrible. So I'm going to start doing that more. I don't know. I feel good. I suppose I should talk about the manga because that's kind of the whole point of the video outside of me working out. Both have great information. I will say How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift has a lot more information. Every single chapter has something that is said. It's not always like useful information that you might need, but it's still interesting. For example, one will be like, here's how a bodybuilding competition works. But occasionally they'll have like a dieting chapter, which is going to be something that I'm going to mention info from later on. But every single chapter has some kind of workout or alternative version of a workout, which is a little tricky when you want to use it to learn more things. They will often just give you alternatives. For example, there's like, I think 4 different versions of a bench press now. 5 if you count the machine. Bench press, floor bench press, front press, inclined bench press, and chest press machine. And so when you kind of are doing what I'm doing and you need more exercises out of it, it does kind of get annoying thinking, oh, I'm gonna go do the arm day, and then half of the things you've learned are just variations on the same exact exercise that just focus different parts of your pecs. But it is really, really good info, and it's pretty funny too, I'm not gonna lie. I love gag stuff like that, so I think it's pretty fun in that regard. Again, it's really weird getting your workout information from softcore, but that's where we are. But it is seriously good information. It's also like really healthy in the fact that they're always cheering for each other, no matter how much they can do. Seeing someone get just 10 reps with the lightest weight is an accomplishment, because for that person, it is an accomplishment. That's all that should matter, is that they are doing the best that they can do while remaining safe. And that is really, really important to remember, is that you should be doing what you can while staying safe. Ultimately, those are goals. If you can't do 20 reps of something on the lightest weight, then do 15, do 10, do what you can, and then little by little you will get to that 20, and then you'll be able to increase the weight, and that's what's important. Be proud of yourself no matter what you can accomplish. Plus Sized Elf is a lot more diet focused. They have some exercises, they don't really explain them too well. So in that regard, that's where Dumbbell comes in. That quite a few of the exercises you will see in Plus Sized Elf that are just kind of vaguely referenced are then referenced in Dumbbell with more detail on how to do it, how to make it harder, how to make it easier, how to keep it safe, etc. Plus Sized Elf really focuses a lot more on the story. You are not going to learn something every single chapter. It is more just about the emotional part of keeping up a diet. The start of the second set that I have to read for this week, and Erufuda's aunt comes in and makes her work way too hard, overworking her and barely letting her eat. and the main character steps in and is like, no, this is seriously unhealthy. So in that regard, it's good because it's kind of trying to get you there mentally and emotionally of saying like, have friends that will keep you responsible and do what makes you happy. Don't feel bad about treating yourself every once in a while to a few fries. Not as much as our elf friend does, but you know, it's okay to have fries every once in a while. Unless you're making a video, in which case, no, it's not. I'm not allowed to be happy. If you want to do it the way I did, you do need to read both. That's it. That's week 1. Tomorrow is a check-in with my cousin. Also, my mom comes into town. I'm still gonna film something every day. No shame there, I need to. That's what this video is about. I'm gonna do something every day. I might try some new stuff this week as the vegetarian-only diet kind of gets weaned more into I'm allowed to eat a bit more meat, please God. Goal right now, keep it consistent. Read a lot more manga, see what new exercises show up. I'm gonna sit here and feel bad about the fact that I am not exercising, even though I did it this morning. I already went to the gym, but I'm still gonna feel bad because I'm sitting here watching people tell me that I need to be exercising. So that's gonna be fun. Alright, I will see you tomorrow. We're back. We're back here with our good friend Heath, and I've got some more questions for him that hopefully will help me and help you at home. Maybe, I don't know. That's all we can really hope for. My first question is something that I actually alluded to in what I recorded yesterday. I've been putting my weight in the corner of every day, and it was going down, and then it went back up a little bit. It's back down today, but when it went back up, I know a lot of people would probably get very discouraged by that. They're thinking, but I was doing really well on my diet. What's happening? But from what I understand, that's not necessarily a bad thing, correct?
Super correct. So the easiest way to put it is muscle's heavier than fat. And there's a lot of science in there about how the molecules hold water and how water is a lot of the weight we have in our body. But that's perfectly normal. You know, as we build up muscle, yeah, you're going to get almost denser is really, really another way to think about it. And yeah, it can be a little discouraging, and some people think, okay, less is better. And yeah, less weight is better. But
yeah,
really, the way I think people should, I wish we'd think about it more often, is we're not losing weight, we're just changing what the weight is, you know, what it's made out of. That's kind of what, you know, exercise is for, is transforming whatever building blocks we have, and most times it's excess fat, and we change that. We don't just strip it away and leave it alone. No, we have to take it and we transform it into something else, and that something else usually weighs a little bit more.
Yeah, it's just hard to see number go down, yay, and then number go up, and I was thankful enough to have heard that from several places, including these manga. One or both of them both say, "Hey, don't worry if the number go back up.
Mm-hmm.
Muscle heavy,
muscle heavy,
muscle heavy,
muscle more heavy, fat, yes."
The next thing I want to ask is about setting a goal. You know, I think a lot of people know that they need to get fit or they should lose weight, but they're not necessarily sure how to set that goal or what that goal should be. I'm very lucky in that the goal is set for me by these books. It is lose weight, get strong. And then I have the extra goal of fixing my back because it's been horribly fucked for 12 years. So might as well do something about that while I'm at it. But finding that goal can be very hard. You don't know how much you should lose or maybe gain. Maybe you need to put on weight. What would you recommend people either do to help find that goal or do in the meantime as they're trying to set that goal or what have you?
So my top recommendation and the way that I've been trained with my certifications is it's good to have, a goal to say, okay, I want to lose weight, or as you say, yeah, I want to get in better shape. I want to fix my posture. The problem with setting that one single good goal, no matter how well-meaning it is our body's really complex, and there's a lot of different ways you can approach any of those goals. You can achieve any of those goals. So honestly, when I'm working with clients, or if I'm teaching a fitness class and somebody comes up and asks me questions, the best I can say is like, okay, I really like the goal you have. Let's set 3 more smaller ones that you can, easily track that's going to work up to that goal. Yeah, say you have, your goal is to lose weight. Okay, that's good. Awesome. Let's lose some weight. What are 3 ways we can do that? And the way I try to structure those goals, it's the SMART program. They're SMART goals, which is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. Now, those are kind of hard to all get in, and I won't lie, like following a meticulous format for writing those goals can feel a little annoying. But the ones I really want to pull out of those 5 letters is specific, because it's a lot easier to finish a goal if you know specifically what you're going to do. Okay, I want to lose weight. I know that walking or running is really good for weight loss. So twice a week, I'm going to walk for 30 minutes. That's specific. Okay, twice a week, I need to go and walk for a certain amount of time. Time-based, that's another one I really like. We know, we're doing it twice a week, and the time I'm setting for myself is 30 minutes. Reasonable, that's not going to be, hopefully that's not out of your limits. If you have 30 minutes to 2 hours a week, then you've got that one checked off. And I think like achievable and measurable, of course, you're measuring, okay, I've walked 15 minutes. I've measured that amount of time. It's time to turn around and get the other 15 minutes back. So, it's sort of, to me, my recommendation is, okay, have that big goal. Set yourself 1, 2, 3 of those little goals and make them less broad. And it depends on what your goals are, of course, and how you want to specifically lay those out. But I think kind of that anagram, SMART, is a good place to start. And giving yourself a little bit of specificity is really good for helping achieve those bigger goals.
I guess I should use myself as an example, because this video is unfortunately about me. The big goal is eventually 40 pounds down, at least. But I know that's not going to happen in a month. So, like, in the meantime, what I said in my day 0 was, I'm hoping that maybe just by the end of this month, I feel more comfortable wearing large-sized t-shirts, because I was just wearing a large for so long, and then this past year or two, I can wear some larges, but mostly I'm going to XL. I mean, they're still big on me when they're in XL, but the larges become just, I'm not too comfortable in it, It's not that it's bad, I just don't like it. So if I can get there again, and I think that's reasonable enough for like a month, because I'm not too far from that. The back, I don't know. That might take 17 more years, because the irreparable damage I've done to it.
The training, it's almost training to sit that way. For sure. I think that example is really great. Thank you, because it's
thank you.
something a little bit specific, and something you can easily tell, like, okay, I've reached this goal because I put on this large shirt and it feels good. I'm comfortable in it. I think that's a great idea. And for the month, that's perfect, because that's something you can easily, every morning you put on a large shirt and you say, okay, you take it off. that's 10 seconds, and then you move on to your day, and you see how, I mean, you can see the progress, you can feel it in yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's good. If you lost 40 pounds in this 1 month, I'd fly over and take you to the hospital myself, because that's not something anybody should be achieving
Yeah.
healthfully.
We don't want to do the Rob McElhenney and
No.
drop what was it, like 100, 200 pounds in like 6 months for that show?
No, man.
That is. Don't do that.
That's awful. Because the show ended, and he put 100 back on. Like, quick. I know it. Just an example. Again, my client came in with a very broad goal. Okay, I want to improve my general overall health. Mm-hmm. And that's fantastic. What a good goal. I'm so happy you want to do that.
What does that mean for you?
Yeah. How? And so we chose some things that, I asked him the question, okay, when you say that, what does that mean to you? And he said, okay, well, I used to run a lot in high school, and I don't really run at all anymore, and I feel like my running's really out of it. And I was like, okay, perfect. First off, you like to run, so it's going to be easy to stay and do that. And I said, okay, what was your race time when you ran in high school? And he said, it was 6 minutes, something. And I said, okay, cool. You're never going to be in as good a shape as you are in high school, unfortunately. Unless you're working really hard, just because that's how our bodies work. So I said, okay, cool. Then we'll get to a 7-minute mile. And that's perfect. And so, every week when we meet, we run for a certain amount of time, and we, at the end of each week, we take a recording of, I want you to run for as hard as you can for this 1 mile. Or not even as hard as you can. I say, okay, like, run, we call it race pace, because that's something we both understand is like, okay, highest intensity without dying. And then we'll see where you are. And so we know, okay, we want 7 minutes on that mile. So this past week, this is probably our second week working together. So he's still at like a 7:45 mile working real hard. So we have a bit to go for sure. Mm-hmm. But that's 7 seconds slower than the week prior. And so not only do we know that the changes we're making are helpful, we know we're making progress towards not only the small goal of the 7 minutes, but the larger goal of overall health. But I think it helps to motivate as well to see the progress. That's another big thing about those small specific goals. The big goals are hard to visualize week by week. And so when you're waking up early or you're going into the gym at the end of the day and you're tired, it's hard to find the motivation if you're not seeing the very small specific ways that you're benefiting yourself. So, he said, he seemed a little down on, he was like, oh, it's only 7 minutes, it's only 7 seconds faster. And I was like, dude, I chose the way he understood it. That's great progress. And, we both sort of understand cross country and track, that kind of stuff. So I told him, like, hey, that's like 7 whole spots in a race. That's 7 places, that's 7 rankings in a race, realistically.
Yeah.
That's big. And, he cheered up, he smiled after that. And he's, it's really good to have those smaller ones because it's easier to motivate yourself. It's easier to see that progress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think even if this has almost become a podcast, and that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I think also for anyone who even, again, doesn't quite know where to set that goal, for example, what I've done, I think you can find those things. You'll know if you take notice of what you're doing each time you go, you will see that improvement. For example, every time I go, I start by walking like a mile on the treadmill. Mm-hmm. And I've noticed that even after 5 times, I keep having to kick up the speed a little bit to get my heart rate up into that fat burning zone. Mm-hmm. So, it was 3 miles per hour the other day. and today I had to get it to 3.5 to get up there. And then once I was there, lowered it a little bit, and then had to keep going back up. But that average is getting higher and higher, and that's a very clear way to start every workout. Is like, oh, here's a clear point of improvement. My body is getting used to this. It is not struggling to walk 2 miles an hour.
Yeah.
How heavy are the dumbbells you lift makes a comment on active rest. That even when you're taking a rest day, it's still a good idea to go do something, to go move, to do some lightweight training. Maybe don't go too hard, or go for a light jog. Would you say that is correct, or would you say maybe just lay down? Because they say that's not what you should do, and I want to see what. Because I'll let you go.
Once again, right on. I mean, yes, that is correct. That's definitely something you should do. Yeah, there is kind of a misconception that rest means like, don't do anything, be horizontal all day. And, I've been there where there's been days that are my rest days where my body's tired and I want to be horizontal. I don't want to do more, whatever. And unfortunately, I'll go into the science of it a little bit more. That is more harmful for your body than it is beneficial, for sure. It's kind of thinking about when our muscles work and as they break down and build up, and as we stretch and move and exercise, we have a buildup of certain chemicals in our bones. Certain chemicals in our muscles. No chemical buildup in the bones. That'd be a little chemical buildup in the muscles, and that's what makes soreness. So if you think about it, after you work out and you're sore, you feel your bones are kind of crinkly. They don't want to move like they should, and maybe your muscles don't want to stretch all the way and that kind of stuff. And that's because they're filled with junk. They're all condensed up and they're full of nasty stuff. And we call it in the field we call it DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. And that's the buildup of gunk. And so what happens is that gunk can only be cleared out by continuing moving. So if you lay down, it's your rest day and you don't do anything with the whole day, the gunk is just sitting there in your muscles, and that's going to make it worse. Which is why, maybe you do a hard week on and off muscle training, weight training, strength training, and you're sore. Yeah, go for a walk. Because, even getting your muscles moving in that little way, that's, yes, definitely less load-bearing, less strenuous. Don't go a whole nother workout, because that's just going to hurt more. But getting a little bit of movement, get some blood flow through your muscles, gets your limbic system moving, which is going to clear out all that gunk, and, help you feel a little bit better much quicker. I think that's most of it right there. Definitely alternate what you're doing. If you're doing a lot of cardio stuff, a lot of aerobic stuff, then your rest day, that active recovery, might be really lightweight strength stuff. So definitely alternate what you're doing, because hammering over something over and over again is going to be more painful. But there should definitely be an active element to those rest days.
That actually leads me into the next point. Aside from that, do you have anything else that you would recommend or say is good for helping alleviate or get rid of that soreness quicker? Because I think for a lot of people, you wake up one day, you've gone too hard on everything, you didn't focus one section, you just did everything, and then everything is so sore that you're stuck in bed and you're like, okay, I won't go today, and then you don't go again ever, because you're just, that was bad and I don't want to go back.
Yeah. Oh man, I know that. That feeling is something we really try to work around. And as a trainer, it comes a lot of being very patient and very supportive of people as they begin their workout process or exercise kind of journey. My recommendation stretch, 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 stretch. Warm up, cool down. No matter what exercise you're doing, there is something online with a good warm up, a good stretching routine to do before that, and that's gonna keep you from injuring yourself when you're going in to work out. But what the cool down, what the stretch at the end does, is help alleviate some of that soreness. So if we think about what we talked about just a second ago, we got a bunch of junk in our muscles. It builds up while we're working out. So if we're running a lot, then we've got a bunch of gunk built up in our legs from how hard we're running. With that in mind, that stretch at the end of the workout is going to get that blood flow moving, that, that junk clearing that you might get on your rest day with that active rest. And that, it gets a little bit of flow, clears up those muscles, really helps with soreness, especially the day after. As well as I think it's good mentally, as of kind of like the warm up is the ramp up. We're exercising up here, and then the cool down helps us settle back into the rest of our day, going on about, our more calm daily activities. So yeah, my recommendation is, even if you have to cut your actual workout short, as a beginner, carve out 5 or 10 minutes to stretch at the end of a workout, because it's going to definitely pay out the day after and the day after that. And if you're worried about your motivation, kind of what you described is, we think of that as a relapse, and that's a pretty scary word. I think there's a
Yeah.
I wish we had a different way to say that, but yeah, there's that sense of, this hurts so bad, I'm not gonna go in tomorrow, and then that day after you're like, I didn't go in yesterday, I might as well not go in again, and from there on it spirals down. Stretching is a good way to avoid all that.
I would say that, yeah, stretching has probably been the biggest thing that I learned from both of these manga, is that, if I hadn't been stretching as much as both of them emphasized it, I can tell it's having an effect. Because every time I tried to do this before, I was way more sore than I am this time. Because I'll do it before, I'll do it after, and then I'll do it like one more time while I'm standing around. I'm just like, oh, you know what? I'm starting to feel a little sore. I'll stretch that again. Get it going a little bit more.
Yeah, something.
And that has honestly been a huge lifesaver.
For sure. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
including it in your day, because that's something.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think, obviously for the purposes of this video, this doesn't quite apply, but a lot of people just stretch. They don't go and they don't do weight training. They don't run or whatever you're doing. Some people just stretch, and that's all they do. Think of yoga. Yoga has some really important body strength elements, but a lot of it is just flexibility and mobility.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some stereotypes about yoga that are really stupid. But if you think about it, think about the people you've seen do yoga. They're usually toned to a bit.
Yeah, they're fit.
They do.
Look
And
good.
this is an odd thing. You may want to cut this bit out too.
That's fine.
I am frightened by old people who do yoga. They are always deceptively able. They are deceptively, flexible. They're always toned to a T. It's clear they've been doing it all their lives, and it's paying off. It's paying off.
Mm-hmm.
It's just impressive.
I think it's interesting that you had said this doesn't apply, but it actually does. Just last night, I read through a chapter of Plus Sized Elf where they go do hot yoga. And he goes the hot part is really good for losing the weight, but the yoga part is good for everything else.
Everything.
They show a bunch of poses and describe exactly what it will help do or help alleviate. It's this one is good for shoulder pain and back pain, or this one is good to prevent constipation. Mm-hmm. You're just oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Cool.
I didn't know that. Yeah, doing a stretch could help me poop better. Yeah.
My
So yeah, I
tracks
think
have never
it is
been clearer.
important to remember that there's as many ways to work out as there are people, you know. And I think what we'll talk about a bit next time is kind of maybe some more at-home stuff. I think would be a good place to go in case you can't go to the gym or you're too scared to yet, etc. There's a lot of stuff that you can do at home. Both of them specifically mention. Now, America's 2-liter bottles are a little bit bigger, but using 2-liter bottles for like bicep curls at home or shop like grocery bags, because there's ways around it. There's ways that you can do things at home, and I think that's where we'll go next time. But unless you've got any other notes, I think that's all I could think of for today.
Closing remarks. It's tough to stay motivated, for sure. I'm gonna say this every single time. I think this is gonna be my closing.
That's good.
Every time.
I like it.
Don't give up. You're doing it right. Like you said, there are as many right ways to get in better shape as there are people on the earth, because everybody has their right way. So, you know, just because you see somebody else doing this or somebody else is telling you this is wrong, don't give up on yourself. You got this. You got this. 1 week at a time.
And I think also, don't be embarrassed. I think is another big thing. I legitimately, I will see things in these manga that I'm like I can't go to a gym and do that, like do wall push-ups. That feels embarrassing.
Yeah.
And then I'll see someone doing wall push-ups. Like, I have seen so many things that I thought, like, I'd be willing to do, but I was worried about being embarrassed by. Not that they're bad, it's just that I'm like, are people gonna think I'm a wuss?
Yeah.
And I'll see lots of, like, from super fit people to people who are just starting their journey like I am, doing a lot of those things. And I am noticing these workouts everywhere. They're not, you know, there's no wrong way to do it. I think is the goal here. I think if you can find someone, just anyone, who they don't have to bust your balls or your lack of balls, depending on who you are, but like just tell them to like ask you every day, like, hey, did you go to the gym? Did you go for a walk? What'd you eat today? Like, just something small, just someone to keep you accountable. Have Siri do it. Like, have your phone remind you every day, hey, have you gone for a walk yet? Like that.
Apple's got the reminder app. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make one of those every day.
Exactly. I think that's the big message of this week's interview is motivation. Stay motivated. Don't give up. Things that look bad may not be that bad. They may be good. You need to look for those consistent, measurable goals that you can find and set for yourself. So thank you so much, Heath. I will see you next week for sure.
I hope.
And yeah, I hope. Who knows? Maybe I'll die from lack of Diet Coke this week.
There you
We're
go.
getting real close.
You might flip the next page and they're like, all right, next step in your fitness journey is deadlift 400 pounds.
Oh, God. Yeah. And then I rip my back, and that's the end of me. I thought you were going to say the caffeine thing. Actually, one of them last night did talk about how they were talking about coffee, but caffeine can help.
Oh, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
With weight loss in some way. I can't remember exactly what it was.
I do.
But like you do? Doing it before a workout? Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about water weight at the beginning. Just between, fat and muscle tissue, the difference there. Caffeine is a diuretic, which means it pulls water out of your body. Which I think is a little rich because most of the things we get caffeine from, most things that are diuretics are fluids. So you'd think, okay, I'm putting a fluid in, it's going to replace my fluids, but whatever. It pulls water out, which is why, like, some people say, okay, be careful drinking carbonated, getting caffeine, something like that before you work out, because you can sweat it out really quick and then you're dehydrated. That said, like you said, with a specific amount, some of that pulls more sweat, which helps with fat loss. Very similar to hot yoga, where that sweat is how you lose some of that weight. And for sure, yeah, diuretics are a good way to do that. Caffeine, that's the fancy word for caffeine, that kind of stuff. Those are really good for a little extra weight loss. Carefully.
Yes.
Carefully.
Yeah. They don't say drink it all day.
No,
they say like a cup an hour before you start working out.
That would be my suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I have to start drinking coffee.
Ugh. None of
Yeah,
that.
no, I'm not excited about
None
that.
of that. No.
Ugh, ugh.
No.
Maybe I'll find a new way to get caffeine.
There you go.
Maybe I'll just start drinking Diet Coke again. I don't know. But thank you again. Thank you so much. I'm gonna stop this recording now. Day 9. Quick update for today. Not much has changed. Still working, still doing it. Did legs today, so gonna be immobile tomorrow. That's fun. I guess I could talk about the manga a little bit more. Both continue to be good and helpful. If you're looking for a plot, you're probably looking in the wrong place. Both of them kinda have one. Dumbbell actually more than Plus Sized Elf. Plus Sized Elf started to kind of catch up in terms of usefulness, I think. It really helps that the chapters are a little bit longer and they tend to spend more pages talking about whatever it is they're discussing than Dumbbells does. Dumbbells will spend like maybe 2 pages on how to do an exercise or whatever they're talking about, while Plus Sized Elf will spend like half a chapter kind of reiterating and detailing what they're discussing. Except the exercises, they're still really light on that. You might get like a box. So when they focus on something, instead of just being a gag manga, it's actually most of the chapter is dedicated to explaining why you would want to do this. And continues to have like weird, interesting details I never thought of, like the order in which you should eat your food. I didn't think that there should really necessarily be an order. We usually just think, put thing together, put in mouth. I am continuing to actually kind of enjoy both. They're both pretty fun. Plus Sized Elf continues to use the almost exclusively for comedic effect method of nudity, where nothing is really sexy. They just are naked, which I guess in a body positivity sense, this is pretty good. That's a good way to go about it. Just making it more natural to be naked. Meanwhile, How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift never has any nudity, but feels so much more dirty. What they skirt around is real raunchy. I don't even know if I'm allowed to show it. But that's pretty much the update today. Both continue to be horny in very different ways. Both continue to be good and helpful. And I continue to see people at the gym actually doing a lot of the stuff I see in here. I take note of what people are doing. Like even just yesterday, I saw something about isometric stretching and like stretching your arm against a pole or a wall or something. And today I saw someone doing it. Every little thing that I think, how many people really do that? Not that it's a bad idea, but how many people really would want to do wall push-ups instead of normal push-ups? And then I see someone doing wall push-ups and I go, oh, well, there's that person. Somebody's actually doing it. And they're doing it here. There's no shame. I think it's really fascinating. This has been a really interesting experience. I'm gonna have to do something bigger tomorrow. So we're gonna see when I find time to do that. Because it might be kind of hard. Welcome back to my kitchen. So my nieces are here today. So I thought I'd make them a little special treat with the help of this recipe from Plus Sized Elf. We're gonna make some homemade French fries and see how that goes. It said potato starch, but the store didn't have any, so I have cornstarch because Google said I could do that. First step, is this plate microwave safe? I don't know. We're gonna find out. Step 1 is wash. Whoa! Step 1 is wash and cut the potatoes. Should be simple enough. Potato. This feels like overkill. How do you cut potato wedges? Well, there we go. That's a good one. Look at that. All right, next you're gonna wanna cover them in plastic wrap and microwave them for 4 minutes. So the plate seems to be fine. Good news. Bad news, burned myself twice. The steam under the plastic wrap came right out onto my finger when I tried to grab the plate, and that hurt a lot. The next step is to add plenty of salt and pepper and 2 tablespoons of potato starch, or in this case, cornstarch. Well, those are steamy. Woo! I'll mix that. Now we fry them in a pan with a little bit of oil. This cornstarch thing clearly didn't really work out. Go ahead and fry them until golden brown. My wedges aren't exactly uniform, so we're just gonna have to play that by ear. Final update. I'm really bad at cooking, apparently. The different sizes of potato slices really hurt me on this one. There's some that almost look edible, but no, most of them have been looking just like this, raw on one side, burned on the other. I don't know what to do about it. I'll try one. You know what, actually, that one's not bad. Tastes like olive oil, but I wouldn't complain about that. Still gonna call it there. Not gonna do the rest. I think that is a bad idea. Maybe next time I'll use the air fryer. I'm gonna blame it on me, not on the recipe. This is my fault. I'm just stupid. Had a short workout today because I'm a dumbass and I was wearing the wrong shoes, so that's fun. But now I'm in Cincinnati because I had to go pick up my brother. So that's fun. Time for the car ride back. That's gonna be exciting. Okay, bye. Hello, cheat day! I'm sorry, I already ate, so you can't watch me poison myself again. I have a lot of family in town right now, so I've been dealing with that and just not really finding enough time to do this. So while I'm sorry you don't get to see me horf down something terrible, I do want to still talk about dieting. Now, while there's a lot of different parts of dieting and what foods are good for you and what foods are bad for you and how much of what you should have, the general rule is that if you want to lose weight, you want to intake less calories than you're burning. If you want to maintain your weight, you want to keep them about even. And if you want to gain weight, you got to intake more calories than you're burning. Now, how many calories you're burning is a tougher thing to calculate, but on average, just passively, men tend to burn this many calories a day and women tend to burn this many. So if you're not ready to start exercising yet and you just kind of want to change your lifestyle more, then these are some good numbers to keep in mind. If you are exercising, then this number can change. Your calorie deficit may be greater on a day where you work out if you eat the same amount of calories as a day where you don't work out. But as long as you're taking in less calories than you are burning, you will more or less be losing weight. I know that's not too complicated, but if you're kind of like me, there's a mental barrier between I need to intake less calories and what that really means. Like you get it, but no one's ever told you, so you don't get it. So I just wanted to kind of put it out there, the very basics. Now you can probably start to guess what foods are good for you and what foods are bad for you. The internet is full of calculators and resources for all of this. If you really want to go about it, there's plenty out there that will be able to help you keep track of your calories, find out how many calories are in something, find out what's good for you, what's bad for you, etc. That's today's update. I gotta go play Resident Evil 4. It's a perfect day out. Perfect day for a rest day. Saturday's my rest day. But like we said earlier in the week, just because it's a rest day doesn't mean that you should necessarily stop moving completely. That can really end up hurting you a lot more. So you want to go out, you want to get that heart rate up, you want to get that oxygen circulating through your blood, knock out all the gunk in your muscles. That's how you really get rid of that soreness. Nothing too strenuous. Just get moving, get that heart up, and you will appreciate it a lot more down the line. So I'm gonna go enjoy this wonderful sun and the nice breeze and the birds. It is perfect out here. Yeah, all of the craziness comes to an end tomorrow in my life. So next week I'll be able to go back to what I've been doing. These sections will probably get longer. I'll do more crazy stuff. But it is nice to know that my life is almost back to normal. So until tomorrow, farewell. And thus we bring an end to week 2. This was easily probably the most stressful week of this whole project. That had nothing to do with the project, with the exercise, with the dieting. I just had a lot on my plate. My sister-in-law was getting a surgery, so my mom came into town, and I had to help take care of my nieces. I had to go up to Cincinnati to get my brother. Just today, I had to go back to Cincinnati to take him back, and then take my mom to the airport. It's just been a long week. Any night that I wasn't at work, I was out with family or at some event, it was just a lot. Thus, as far as the dieting goes, I tried my best to be as good as I could. I didn't go over my calorie limit for that deficit, but there were some days where I had to go get my brother on a moment's notice, so I had to eat McDonald's chicken nuggets, or there were 2 days where I ended up eating a chicken sandwich from McDonald's because that was kind of my only option due to dealing with my family. No fries there, don't worry. We're still good there. Yeah, there was just a lot of eating out that I couldn't really control. I was good about it though. And I am hoping that this week I can finally go back to cooking for myself, which was kind of half of the reason I was doing this, was to figure out how to cook for myself better. So we're gonna get back into that and I keep using that air fryer. God damn, that thing is so nice. If you don't have, look, I know I'm late to the game saying this, but seriously, if you don't have an air fryer, I'm a convert. You should get an air fryer. It's pretty fucking cool. It is day 16, and my air fryer broke last night. So the rest of this is gonna be a lot harder than I thought it was. You know, for a device meant to heat itself for extended periods of time, you would think that, you know, it wouldn't overheat and kill itself on one of the preset functions. I put chicken in, I hit chicken button, and now it's dead. So, if anybody knows how to fix an air fryer, please get to me. Because I really don't want to spend like $100 more on one of these things. Also, on Friday, I finally did what my family had been obsessing about for well over a year now. I went with them to a place called F45. F45, for those of you who don't know, is one of those kind of gym fitness places where it's just classes. Like, you sign up for a class, you go, you do the class, and you leave. I don't know about a lot of the other ones, like Orange Theory or what have you. F45 also happens to follow the structure that Dumbbells mentioned recently, which is HIIT, High Intensity Interval Training, which basically means you do an exercise for 20 seconds, you rest for 10 seconds, you do the next exercise for 20 seconds, you rest for 10 seconds, you do the next exercise for 20 seconds, you rest for 10 seconds, however many exercises there are, and then you repeat, and you just go in a circle for a few minutes. It's tough. It'll kick your ass. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a good workout, but oh my god, I was dying by the end of the class. In the last station I had to do, there were like jumping jacks or something, and I went to move my body, and I just went, My legs don't work. And that was it. I didn't know what to do. Now, this is something that my family kept hammering into me over this past year of, you should go, is that if it gets too hard, nobody is looking at you, A, because they're also all trying not to die, but B, it doesn't really matter if you're doing the exercise exactly as they instructed. As long as you're moving, you're fine. You just gotta move in some way. You can shift the exercise to make it a little easier on yourself if you need to. You can just jog in place. Doesn't matter, as long as you're doing something. That being said, they convinced me to go to the Friday one, because they said, oh, it's like hybrid, it's usually not that bad. It sucked, and afterwards all of them were like, yeah, that one was really hard. This was a bad day to come. This was really, really hard. I mean, my uncle, who's been doing this forever, said, yeah, on the last station, I just gave up. I didn't even stop, I gave up. I felt the same way. It also didn't help that I went and I was kind of sick. My allergies had punched me in the throat that day because there was a huge rainstorm and I was just feeling awful. And then I took 2 extra strength Allegra, like 24-hour pills. I think you're only supposed to take 1, so that probably wasn't a good idea on an empty stomach. But hey, too late, I did it already. I'm alive. That's what's important, right? So if you need someone to kick your butt in gear like that, maybe that kind of place is good for you. Personally, I like to kind of handle myself, if you know what I mean. I like to be in my own zone, listening to my music, working on myself. I don't really need the group experience or someone telling me exactly what I need to do. That's just not me. That's not for me. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try it, that you shouldn't go to a trial at one of these places like F45 or Orange Theory or other ones that I'm not thinking of. I will say one of the downsides to pretty much all of them is that they are very expensive. F45 is like $200 something, and even then my family kept saying like, oh, your aunt can get you like this family discount or something. I don't know. And even then it's still $99 per month, and I was telling my mom I don't want to spend $100 a month on that, and she said, well, how much is your gym? I was like, well, the first month was $1, and after that it's either $25 or $10. So that's kind of the difference. You are getting specific workouts laid out for you and a class experience with a trainer who's going to be telling you if you're doing something wrong. All that. That's what you're paying for. You're paying the premium for that kind of experience. But if you want to do your own thing, if you want to just work on yourself that way, if you know enough of what you're doing with exercise equipment, or you just want a treadmill or a bike or whatever, then probably just go to a gym that's $10. There's a bunch of different kinds, like Planet Fitness. Either way, the stress is hopefully over. I can get back to putting all of my effort into this and thinking about it all the time instead of having to deal with family things all the time. I am going to sit in my house all day tomorrow, outside of going to the gym and the interview you will see. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to go anywhere. I am so tired of people. I just want to play Resident Evil 4. It's so good. It just came out and I love it so much. I am gonna go back to playing it right now. I'm not gonna lie. I had to pry myself away to record this, and I really want to go back to it. So I'm gonna go do that. Anyway, bye. Yo, it's a Monday.
It's a Monday.
Hey.
Monday.
Day 15. We're 2 weeks in. And I figured, like I said last time, we should probably start talking about what people can actually do, especially at home, because there's a million reasons someone can't go to the gym or don't want to go to a gym yet. So I think it's important to teach people kind of what they should know or would like to know about all this, starting with what are some of the important vocab words to know for finding exercises that you can do at home or without weights. I keep seeing isometrics, calisthenics, just you're getting all these words thrown at you, and I don't want to pull out a dictionary unless I'm lifting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, I do know what you mean. And there's a lot of words out there. And my answer is always sort of depends. That said, in terms of important vocab, I want to stress as you're starting out, keep it simple. You don't need to learn all those words. I'm not gonna lie. If you're really passionate about getting in better shape, or you're passionate about exercise science, something like that, that's definitely you said isometric calisthenics, something like that, eccentric, concentric, some of those other words. If you really want to have a better understanding, then I welcome you to go and search those words up and find out what they mean. But if your focus is getting in better shape, just improving your life through some fitness, some important vocab. This seems like a no-brainer, but especially following COVID, when everybody's back home and we made a ton of innovations to work with that. Looking up at-home workout is like a super good place to start. And that answer, seems a little bit silly because, like, duh, if I want to know an at-home workout, I should look that up. But I think most times if you're, just starting out and you're looking for things, that's just a good phrase to type into Google and say, okay, at-home workout. Other things I'd suggest, body weight is a good word. I'm just thinking of what am I going to plug into a search engine that's going to give me something reliable. You have a lot less of the tools and facilities that you have if you go to a gym. And so body weight, which just basically means like there's no load, you're not carrying a dumbbell or a kettlebell or something like that. There are a ton of very good body weight exercises that you can perform at home without too much room and without too much extra stuff. I think that's a good another good word. At home workout, at home regiment is a really good one. And sticking with body weight stuff, because I think we're going to talk about it a little bit in a second here, how we can use stuff that we find around our house to get a little bit of a workout in. But without including any of that stuff, those are like kind of my two basics. Again, falling back on that at-home aspect, because before COVID-19, those would have been pretty unreliable. They probably would have made me nervous to suggest. That said, once people started staying in and they needed to make a little home gym for themselves, or they needed to make plans where they couldn't go out, that at-home portion, that at-home, fitness scene has really grown a lot, and I think you'll find good stuff there.
Speaking of, what are some of these basic exercises that people can do when they can't go to the gym or for whatever reason? We don't need a whole routine, but
Again, going back to the body weight, just about any of the movements that you stereotypically think of, in a gym, you can do at home. Push-ups are real easy. Find, 6 feet of floor and you've got it. Sit-ups are very good always. This isn't quite at home, but walking or running in your neighborhood is always good. You don't need a gym membership or any special tools there. Lunges are really good. Those are, good leg workout. Don't really need anything in your hands. It's easy to do. You don't need a ton of space. You can do forward lunges. You can do backward lunges. You could do cross body lunges. You could do... there's just a ton of variations on lunges, excuse me. And luckily the camera's set up if I can stand up and do some of them later. But ton of good lunges. Other things, hinging, which that's the motion we use in a deadlift. That's the hinge at the hips, that, we usually do, with deadlifts is the main movement with that. But thinking about it, hinging is especially useful because it's a functional movement. It's something we do every day. Anytime you need to bend over to pick something up, that's a hinge. Anytime you're putting on your shoes, putting on your socks at the beginning of the day. If you're getting out of the shower and you're rubbing down your legs, you're hinging over, you're bending over. So that's a very good one that you can do. Only caveat with the hinge is, make sure you're finding a resource that's telling you how to do those in the right way, because hinging can be a little dangerous. Other than that, there are a ton of core and torso exercises that you can do at home. Core is one of the biggest exercises biggest muscle groups you can tackle without using a large amount of machinery. Russian twists are one of my biggest suggestions. A plank hold is, just like the push-up. It's a easy form, very easy to do, not too complicated there. A hollow hold, which is kind of like a V hold, if you know what that is. Superman's, which is on your stomach, picking your chest and your knees up, is really good. Yeah.
I remember those.
Yes, yeah. So there's a ton of good exercises. Sheesh, I could just keep on going. Dead bug, a hollow rock. In terms of arm movements, it's a little bit more restrictive, just because they're, it's much easier to get some exercises in your arms without weight. But deadlifting will give you some of that arm, that hinge motion will give you a little bit of arms. And there are ways to modify a plank or a push-up position that get a little bit more focus on the arms. Mm-hmm. But I think that's sort of all the ones I'm going to list right here. And of course, it's easy to say and not show. But there are just a huge amount of exercises, that you can do without weight, without a lot of complicated movements or machinery, that are super easy to get started with at home.
Now, this also, I suppose, applies to the gym, but especially at home when there's no one else watching you. How can I be sure that I am working the right muscles and exercises supposed to be working, and that I'm doing it right? Like, maybe I'm not hurting myself, but I might not be doing something exactly right to work the right muscles.
For sure. That's something, as a personal trainer, that's like one of my biggest jobs. That's one of the main things I focus on when I'm working with people, because we can see somebody do it, we can have somebody tell us how to do it. You could show somebody how to do a form 100 times and there is still, okay, am I going to be able to do it myself? We talked a little bit about it the first time we talked, about pain versus strain. Mm-hmm. It's difficult to describe a sensation in the person because it feels different for everybody. The strain I'm going to feel on, like, if I'm doing a bench press and I'm laying back, the strain on the chest I'm going to feel is going to be different from somebody who's doing it for, the very first time. But I guess the sensation I try to go for is a tautening. Tauting. That's not how you spell tautening. But what we like to feel is, we don't want to feel pain. We don't want it to be jabbing. We don't want it to feel sore while we're moving. That said, as we work our muscles, they stretch, they expand, and they contract to move the muscle. And if you think about, holding a sheet, or you're holding a piece of paper, holding a shirt or something, and you pull the sides away from each other, you can see the shirt gets tighter, the fabric will smooth out, and you can feel the tension there. And that's kind of what we're looking for, in the muscles. We want to, it helps me to visualize. I'm big on visualization for movements, is, okay, as I'm doing a bench press, I know I want to feel it in my chest. And so when I lower that bar down, I want to feel that shirt pulling away on my chest. and that kind of tension in our muscles. And that's kind of what we're aiming for. Again, not pain. It should be difficult. It shouldn't be painful. But when you pull that shirt wide, it's tough. It's hard to pull. And then the shirt itself, our muscles are taut and they're stiff, and so it's hard to move with them. But we want a little bit of challenge. We want some of that tautening without getting hurt. Past that is, you should be able to feel that taut feeling. And if you're not sure you're hitting what you're hitting, look it up. Go on any exercise, type in the name of the exercises, muscle activated, ... muscle activated, bench press, muscles activated, squatting, muscles activated. Go to the Google search, go to the images, and make sure where you're feeling that tension, where you're feeling that pull is what's highlighted on the picture. Now, if it's not, then go a tab over and find a YouTube video on it, and watch through it and listen. And if they say, okay, if you're feeling it here, then maybe this is the adjustment that you make. Especially with a lot of the basic movements you're going to do at home, without a lot of extra stuff at the gym. There are a ton of resources that are trustworthy and consistent to walk you through those movements and make sure you're hitting the right things. There are certain movements in the gym and fitness that are much higher level and have to be taught correctly and accurately. Most of the movements you're going to do at home and as you're beginning are not that strict. There are different ways to do them, and there are different ways to teach them. Never, ever feel, sheepish, feel nervous, or embarrassed to go online and look it up and have, somebody, please find somebody who knows what they're talking about. And and make sure you're doing it right. That's what we're doing here. And that's something I always prescribe to people. You don't have to pay money. Like I'm luckily you hire me to do that. But there are plenty of people online on YouTube who put on a video 4 years ago that still works, and it's free. All it costs is a few keyboard clacks, and you're on there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or you could read a gag manga and have that explained to you. Yeah.
Or you could read a manga you think is a gag, and you'll slowly learn that it's very accurate and pretty good.
Really good resource that occasionally makes fun of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Perfect.
Why not? While we were talking, I kind of thought of, because you were saying people make videos, I thought, could you not also, for some things, like for making sure you're doing squats right or push-ups, if you're watching this, I assume you have a phone. And you could just record yourself and watch it back afterwards and go, oh, my butt's too high, oh, my back's not straight. And keep that in mind next time?
Absolutely. Videos are something that's recommended for us as trainers to help with people. And that's similarly, that's why all of our gyms are covered in mirrors. Mm-hmm. It's not so you look up and see yourself suffering. You will do that. You'll look up and you'll think, God, I look in pain. I look like I'm in trouble. But the main reason we have the mirrors there is so we can, watch ourselves as we move. Maybe you watched a video. Yeah, work out in front of a mirror you have. That's an excellent way, glance up every once in a while. Say, okay, do I look like the person in the video? Or, say you're making a mistake, and you make an adjustment as you're working just naturally, and you see it, it fixes the pain you're feeling. You can look in the mirror or watch the video you took of yourself and you say, okay, that's the change I made. I need to make sure I'm remembering that. Mm-hmm. Videos are super awesome to evaluate ourselves. And as a trainer, it's a great way to teach people, okay, this is the little adjustment I say, okay, when you sit into the squat, your back does this, and we want it to look like that. For sure. Thank you for asking. That's a great question. And an excellent point. Videos all the way.
That was all the questions I had for this week. Do you have any other things that you've thought of in the past, or just want to reiterate to keep people going?
Yeah, for sure. Just little stuff about today's content. There are surprising ways you can make at-home workouts a little more difficult. Just thinking about it right now with some of the exercises I've talked about, there are a lot of ways to up the intensity by just holding some heavy things in your hands. This sounds a little goofy, but there's people who the day after they go to the grocery, maybe they buy 2 gallons of whatever beverage. Mm-hmm. Hold one of those in each hand and do the exercises. That's basically a dumbbell. Similarly, I'm trying to think of some other things, but there are just a lot of, little things in your house that you think, okay, maybe I hold this in my hand. Maybe I put this on my chest during the exercise. And some of the basic movements that we've talked about today are suddenly loaded. Suddenly they've got weight. And if you start with something small, maybe the next week you're like, wait, I held this and it was pretty light. I think I could hold that and it's a little bit heavier. Maybe I'll try that this week. Don't feel silly about doing that. There was a time during COVID I was at home where I used, good mornings are one of the hinge movements. I'm going to do it real quick. You step back. I'm all in camera, right? Yes. Okay, yes. My body is, which is most important. My head is not that important. It's this movement, just hinging at the waist, putting our chest perpendicular to the floor and sending back up. Pretty easy movement. That's going to progress into a deadlift where you start low and you stand up like that. But what I would do, I start with my hands on my chest. I grab a textbook that I use for one of my classes. That's like 13, 15, 20 pounds. Yeah. And I felt a little silly and I looked a little silly, clutching that textbook to my chest. But it added some weight and it made the exercise a little more difficult. And I think there's a lot of things in the house that can do that for you. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else I have to add. Keep at it. I think a lot of people say that and it's easy to be like, oh, you can do it. Just do it. But really keep at it. It doesn't matter what the progress looks like. You are making progress by just taking those little steps. And if you can't make it into the gym, don't get discouraged about that either. We've talked about it today. There are stuff you can do at home that's easy, that's short and quick, and that you can do in the morning and then be done with the rest of your day. You'll feel good about it, I promise, and it'll make the day a lot easier, I think.
Thank you very much again for all of this information. I am excited to go into week 3 now that our family is mostly left. So that stress is over. I can get back to eating well, not having to go out every single night.
Every single day. Every night for just about every meal.
Yeah. So that's exciting for me. Thank you so much. I am excited to see you next week when it will almost be over. I'll almost have done it, and then I can drink Diet Coke and eat some French fries again. And
yes.
That is the main thing getting me through this month. Is that at the end I'm like, oh, there's some French fries down there.
Yep. Whatever motivates you. Man, I know people in exercise science who study it with me, and day by day I see them go to the gym and I'll ask them how they're doing and they're like, oh, I'm good. I'm eating a burger for lunch. I'm excited. I'm working out towards that burger. And I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You work out towards that burger. You work out towards that milkshake. Because, sure.
Yeah.
You deserve it. You worked hard. You deserve it.
And I actually sort of mentioned this on Friday in that bit about calories. Once you are at that point, your goal is to match that calorie count. So working out is that milkshake.
For sure.
But, when you're losing it, maybe not always have a milkshake after working out. Maybe not.
We don't always need to match calories at that point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But thank you again. I have just stalled this. This happens every time. I say thank you, and then we say 17 more things.
Of course, of course. Thank you for having me on. I'm happy to come in for another week.
Thank you.
I've loved talking about this. I'm actually a little sad it's ending so soon.
I know.
Don't
Don't worry, I'll do one more at the very end where we can talk. We can debrief everything, just so that you have one more thing. You get one more chance to talk about it, and then I'll keep going so you and I can talk about it. And
of course,
don't worry. No need to be sad.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm gonna stop this recording now.
Yeah, stop it there.
Bye, everybody. I'm back. So the goal here is to demonstrate to you a lot of the exercises we talked about that I've seen elsewhere. These are going to be in no particular order, just what I remember off the top of my head. We'll try to put up set and rep numbers of what's recommended in the manga. Again, do these in any order you wish. If you want to focus on legs, just do the legs one. If you want to focus on your core, just do your core one. This order is not set in stone. I'm just trying to do as many as I can remember. Obviously, you have your classics, the ones that you should know and love. Planks, push-ups, sit-ups, crunches, squats, lunges. Alright, that was your basics. But don't forget that there are lots and lots of other things that you can do at home. There's similar exercises to what you just saw, like mountain climbers and calf raises. Those hinging exercises that Heath mentioned in the interview. There's also some of the weirder stuff from how heavy are the dumbbells you lift, like posing. Posing is rather simple. You take the poses they recommend. Push up against one arm, the other arm pushes down. Tense up for about 30 seconds, and then release. And repeat 3 times. Almost every single exercise recommended in plus-sized ELF falls under this category. How heavy are the dumbbells you lift recommends quite a few as well. Do keep in mind that a lot of these are body weight exercises, so the heavier you are, the harder it's probably gonna be. I'm actually having to cut this exercise a little bit short because I'm working a double today, and I'm not excited for that, but I gotta go get ready for it. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot to record something today. So I'm about to go to bed. Manga, still good. Working out, still good. I'm getting really tired of salad and chicken, but what can you do? But very important, sleep. Sleep is very important for you. So make sure to get a lot of that. Don't eat too close to going to sleep, or else your body won't rest as much as it needs to. That's actually a pretty big one. Midnight snacking is bad for you. Your body doesn't digest it right, and it keeps you up all night or something. Something like that. But I'm going to read some of my book, go to sleep. I will see you all tomorrow, where... Oh boy, tomorrow's going to be a fun time. It's Friday. So you know what that means. It's the cheat day and also the day in which I talk about dieting stuff. Things that I still don't fully understand and you should definitely probably look up more of, because I'm an idiot and I will probably get something wrong. Again, anything you see in this video, if you want to do this seriously like I am, whether you want to lose weight, gain weight, maintain weight, become more muscular, whatever you want to do, look up more about it. I'm a man using this to lose weight, but today we are going to be talking about your PFC balance. PFC being protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Remember on that middle one, not all fats are bad for you. It is saturated and trans fats that are bad for you. Unsaturated fats are good for you in moderation, everything in moderation, blah, blah, blah. But speaking of moderation, what is the PFC balance? Well, this panel from Plus Sized Elf actually gives you a good idea of generally what I've seen and heard of what the balance should be about. Of course, it's going to be different for every person and what you're trying to achieve. The general idea, however, is that whether you are trying to meet the amount of calories you burn, go into a deficit, go into a surplus, whatever it is, this balance will actually help more. If you're meeting your calorie goal, but 50+% of all your meals are fats, you're gonna end up putting on fat. Similarly, protein is what helps rebuild muscles. That's why they say you should eat protein right after you exercise. Protein is very important for putting on those muscles, not so much for losing weight. Similarly, if you're looking up how to lose weight fast or easy diets, the thing you will almost always see first is cut out all the carbs. Get rid of carbohydrates entirely. And while that will help you lose weight, a lot of it at the beginning is usually water weight. And so the moment you start eating those carbs again, that number is gonna shoot right back up. That's not to say that you shouldn't go with cutting out carbs. That is an option. You are welcome to do that. But according to the PFC Balance, you should really make about 50% of your meals carbs. So what's that about, right? Well, carbs are what help fuel your body and your mind. When you are exercising, the first thing that it starts to burn is those carbs. And as you put on muscle, that will burn through the fat throughout the day. Now, this isn't just some BS that the manga made up. I had actually heard to make this balance beforehand, but this is something you can look up. This is a thing. There are different ways to go about it, but the general idea is that each of your meals and thus your daily intake should look like around this percentage that they are showing here. So to demonstrate that, I got a very not PFC balanced meal. Skyline. For those of you not from the Midwest, Skyline is from Cincinnati. It is Cincinnati chili, which is just a fancy way to say chili with spaghetti, but the chili has a bunch of seasonings in it. The most obvious one that you will taste is definitely the cinnamon, but there's actually also a little bit of like chocolate and Worcestershire sauce in here or something. I don't know everything that's in it. It's not bad, but it's a lot. That's a lot of cheese. Also, when I got a drink, they didn't hand me a can, so Skyline instantly better than KFC, I guess. Low bar to clear there. So this is a three-way that I have here. Really couldn't pick a better name for that, huh? But that basically means it is just the spaghetti, chili, and some cheese. And we are going to pretend that this is going to be PFC balanced so that we can talk about it. Emphasis on pretend, because it definitely is not. It's like 50% fat, but this is make-believe. So the spaghetti is obviously our carbs. The spaghetti should be about 50 to 60% of this meal, and we will really pretend that this chili is protein. It actually is a fair bit of protein. I think it said it was like 36%, but the protein should actually only be like 13 to 20%. Again, this will vary depending on what you're trying to do. If you have just finished working out, protein should be a lot of that meal because you're trying to build those muscles. Again, every diet, just like every exercise routine, will be different depending on who you are and what you're doing. But that leaves us with our fats here. The cheese, the fat should be about 20 to 30% as opposed to the protein's 13 to 20. That's a lot of extra cheese there. They give you a lot of cheese. Yeah, that looks to be about 20% of that. So boom, now it's suddenly PFC balanced. And now I realize I have to eat this. I don't like that this is just a loose fork. Oh! We also got crackers. That'll up the actual carb count, I guess. It has been a little while since I've had Skyline. Oh, the smell is unique. We'll say that. You know what? That's not that bad. It is definitely an acquired taste. I could definitely not eat this every day. Just the flavor and the texture. Surely you know what chili is supposed to feel like in your mouth. Now make it like a little more, not gritty. Like it is smooth, but I mean, it feels like if you put a bunch of cinnamon in chili. This could have been worse. I could have gotten it on a hot dog. And I decided that was a bad idea. So yeah, if you live anywhere in the Midwest and you haven't tried Skyline, it's worth a try. You should do it at least once. Maybe not while you're on a diet. It's definitely better feeling than the Double Down. I will give it that. I don't feel like I'm gonna be dying after this. I probably will, because I haven't eaten anything like this in almost 3 weeks. But hey, it's not a greasy nightmare, at least. I will say, I didn't know that Cincinnati chili was the thing that Skyline was doing. I thought it would, like, all my life it had just been, it's Skyline. That's just what this kind of chili was. So there was a day in college when the dining hall had Cincinnati chili. I was like, oh, okay, what's that? And I tried it and I tasted it. I mean, he was like, this is fucking Skyline. And I'm still pissed that they only did it once. 4 years, they did it one time. And I remember it very vividly because I went, this is Skyline. This is just Skyline chili. Before I end this and finish my food, I did want to give a special shout out to the MyFitnessPal app. I've had several people recommend it to me. One of the articles I was reading about PFC Balance also recommends it. It's free. You don't have to pay for the premium thing if you don't want to. It is an app where you can set how much weight you want to lose and your daily calorie goal, and you can set your PFC balance. And then you just enter food into the search bar, or you can scan barcodes. So if you're at the grocery, you can scan something and it'll tell you it's PFC balance, it's calorie count. Lots of chain restaurants like this are also on there. Anything you can get at McDonald's. Skyline Chili was on there. That's how I found out it's PFC Balance, is that the three-way was there. But yeah, you can also scan barcodes and you can do stuff like input your workouts that you did and how many calories you burned, and it'll adjust how many calories you can eat that day. So if you want to lose 1 pound a week, it'll probably be like, okay, you need to be a deficit of about 200 to 500 calories a day. And so if you burn 500 calories, it'll go from 2,000 to, okay, now you can eat 2,300 calories. Pretty simple. It's not too hard. That's PFC Balance. That's your PFC Balance. Again, look any of this stuff up. If you don't believe me, or if you want to know more about it, I'm just an idiot who's eating Skyline for a video. Rest days. Very important. I won't lie though, I'm feeling a little antsy. Like, I feel weird that I didn't go to the gym today. It's starting to get to that point. Resting is important. It's important for me to do, so I'm gonna do it. You don't gotta tell me to do nothing twice, you know what I mean? Also, my voice is starting to go away from the allergies. It hurt my throat, and now it's just getting worse and worse. Officially under 220. For the first time in probably like 2 years. I don't know, I haven't had a scale the whole time, but I'd bet it's the first time in like 2 years that I've been under 220. So that was really, really good. That was nice to see. I'm starting to think that the goal of 10 pounds for the end of this video is achievable. It's just 2 left, and I have a little over a week to do it. Or I guess I have like exactly a week to do it. But at this rate, I mean, that very well could happen. The manga, I am really behind on where I wanted to be with how heavy are the dumbbells you lift. I'll talk more about them tomorrow, but I gotta spend a lot of today just reading it. I don't think I'm gonna be able to catch up to where it is by the time that I end this project. I've just come to terms with that. It's like 170 something chapters. I think I can be forgiven when I also have to do all of this on top of my life, on top of, you know, having family, and there's a lot. I think I get a little leeway. I am caught up with Plus Sized Elf, including the new series. That's done. Nothing else is gonna come from that unless another chapter happens to drop soon. But I'll talk more about the actual series in tomorrow's weekly recap video. So look forward to that. I'm gonna just relax, maybe go for a walk. That'll be nice. That might be maybe I'll walk to work tonight. That'd be nice. It's only like a mile. So, you know, 2 miles there and back. That's not bad. The weather's not bad. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. I'm at that point again where I'm like, you know, I don't have to drive there. Maybe I'll just walk there. I used to walk there all the time. Why not do it again? And it's a good place to be. It feels really good. I'm not gonna lie. This is probably the best thing I've done for myself. And I thought it was gonna be kind of hellish and stupid and a joke, but I mean, it is still a joke, but I feel really good, and I feel like I want to keep doing this. I want to get to where I want to be, and now I know that it's possible. This is, I don't know what to tell you. Hey, you should subscribe, by the way, if you haven't already. If you've somehow gotten this far and haven't subscribed, you should do that. Anyway, bye. It is officially the end of week 3. I figured today I should probably talk a little bit about the manga. The fact that I've kind of neglected to do so properly is probably a problem. Probably should have done this sooner, but here we are. I mean, I've mentioned them, I've shown you panels from them, I've said that they're good, etc. But what are my honest full thoughts on the manga as manga? I haven't really talked about that. They're fine, they're good. They're both gag manga in a way. They're both comedies. How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift definitely go way harder on the gags because it's weekly, so they can just do gag after gag after gag, and a lot of them are really pretty funny. Plus Sized Elf is a bit more of a straight line. There's not really too many crazy gags. It's more just like, here's new character, here's what part of them they want to work on. Here's how you do that, or here's character problem, here is food or exercise that you can do to fix that, etc. It's just kind of the same thing over and over. They'll do like 3 chapters in a row of actually trying to help you, and then 3 chapters of just nothing, which is kind of a little bit more of my problem with that. I think it definitely benefits you in the fact that it will go into more detail about dieting stuff specifically than How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift does. But How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift really do show you a lot of proper form, which Plus Sized Elf doesn't. It's just kind of like, oh, here's the general motion you do when exercise, and it's just like one panel and that's it. But Plus Sized Elf really doesn't mind just having paragraphs of text explaining to you the science behind whatever dietary thing they're talking about, or what study it comes from, etc. With an exercise, Dumbbells can just be like, show you proper form and just have a note saying like, make sure your back is straight, or don't do this, etc. And that works fine for an exercise. But when it comes to diet, the 2 pages aren't enough. That style of just mostly pictures with small notes doesn't cut it. For example, both of them introduced the idea of coffee helping with weight loss. This is something I'm going to try this week. I'm going to wake up every day, drink a cup of coffee. I don't love coffee. And while Dumbbells has 2 pages on it, it doesn't really say much outside of it helps with weight loss, and then just explains how it keeps you awake for the whole 2nd page. It doesn't really explain anything about how it actually would help you with fat loss. Meanwhile, Plus Sized Elf is like 4 panels, but it's whole paragraphs explaining every bit of science, what it's doing to your body and how that helps with weight loss. In that regard, Plus Sized Elf is a lot better in that they will take the time to explain things like that. So really, they are complementary. If you want to do it this way, the way I'm doing it, you should do both. How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift gives you a lot of exercises, but outside of the exercises, it really is kind of lackluster in just saying like, here's generally how it work, all done, and then you go, okay, I get that I should limit calories, but how, or why should I be eating protein? It's just not enough. They just say, here's what you should do, and then move on. I think the way they both use nudity is a little weird. They both use it for comedic effect. Plus Sized Elf, though, will just kind of like, bam, here's a naked person. No fanfare, it's not sexy, they're just standing there naked, and that's it. Boom, their clothes explode off, and they're naked now. That's the joke, and that's all there is to it. While How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift use it as the end of every explainer, so you get 2 pages, and then they're not naked, usually. You never see any bits or bobs, but it feels so much dirtier because they're not naked, because they're in super sexual poses, or they'll say like, hey, rope isn't just for rope play, and you're like, I don't know how this fits in. And they make fun of it at first. They're like, why are you going along with this? Why are you posed like that? There's like a straight man riffing on it. But then it just becomes the norm and nobody comments on it. It just is what it is. That just happens now. So if you don't like fan service, you'd probably be fine with plus-sized elf, but don't read Dumbbells. Because plus-sized elf really doesn't feel like fan service. It just feels like they're naked and that's it. There's nothing sexy about it. It's just, they're there, they're standing there naked. Arufuda even has her clothes like explode off at one point, and somebody remarks about how the main boy doesn't comment on it or really care, and he's like, yeah, I see her naked all the time when I'm doing the massage therapy. It's not that weird to me. Yeah, fair enough. So like to them it's not a sexy thing. It's not very weird. If I had one big complaint with both of them, it's that they both use being fat as a punchline. Now simultaneously they both really try hard to not look down on anybody who wants to start this journey. They're both very welcoming, very inviting, and say, hey, just start this way, or go as long as you can, be careful, here's how you avoid injury. Anybody could do this. It is up to you. People are here to cheer you on, they're here to support you. We're here to support you. But then also, the main girl in both of the manga, it's just a constant punchline. Haha, you're pudgy, you can't get thin, ha ha ha. And I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, the beginning of Plus-Sized Elf, our main boy is like, no, I kind of like pudgy girls. Don't all guys kind of like pudgy girls, TBH? And like, yeah, okay, sure. But then when the punchline of every character in that manga is, look how fat your stomach is, look how big your butt is, you drink too much, you're too fat. All the time, it kind of undermines the message of, hey, we're all dieting to lose that weight. It just feels weird. In Dumbbells, it's much more of a gag where, Hibiki is not really fat, but that is her character. Like, each one has, like, their character trait, and hers is that she eats too much all the time. And sometimes it is funny, because they'll do something like, oh, she ate so much tofu, she just is now a giant balloon. But then she goes back down on the next page, because that's the joke, is that she's a weird creature who can do this. Every time she binge eats, she just gets huge. But that's like way later on, and that's after a lot of, you eat too much, her battle cry becomes piggy because she's fat and she eats too much, even though she's not really fat at all. Yeah, sure, she's not as thin as the other girls who take training way more seriously, but at the same time, like, again, that's just kind of her character trait. Each one has something that they make fun of. The teacher is old, so her back keeps getting hurt, and like that's the joke. But again, when trying to encourage people to get into this, I just feel like that kind of mockery is really weird right next to the encouragement, because it feels like, ha ha ha, you're fat, but you don't have to be. We can help you, but you're fat. Ha ha ha. I can't stress that enough. I don't really love it, but it's not necessarily a deal breaker for me. I'm caught up with Plus-Sized Elf. I'm way behind on Dumbbells. That might have to go through this coming week. I don't even know if I'm going to get to the end of it, but I've got enough exercises for sure by now. I'm at like chapter 139, so that's almost 139 exercises. It's probably closer to like 110 that they introduce. Now, a lot of them are variants. That is one thing that I don't really love, is that sometimes it takes a long time to get to new ones, because they'll give you a bunch of different types of bench presses or push-ups or what have you. Like, there's a lot of variant stuff. Here's pull-ups. Now, here's pull-ups, but you move your body. Now, here's just hanging from the pull-up machine. Now, here's hanging from the pull-up machine, but you move your body. It could just all be condensed, but they need to run this weekly, so there's a lot of stuff that you'll see over and over. Or when you're like way later in, like this should have been way sooner, you will get, here's just a list of exercises for an arm day, here's a list of exercises for a leg day. A few chapters later, here's a different list of exercises for a leg day that include the exercises we introduced between those last two. and you just go, that was like 7 chapters ago, and you're now giving me this one. Why didn't you just like wait or something? It gets a little out of hand there. You really do have to binge a lot of it before you feel like you have a full workout's worth of exercises if you're only doing what's in these. But this is the last week upcoming. I am excited. I don't really know what the theme of this last week is going to be. I think it's just probably going to be endurance, just keeping with it, just finishing it off. So maybe don't expect a ton of information in each one. It's just going to be like me pushing through this last week to show that you can do it. I did it, and if I can do it, anybody can do it, because I'm a lazy piece of shit. It took me making this video to do it. Just find your video. You know what I mean? Just find your motivation. See you tomorrow. Look at that. Good morning. It is currently 8:20 a.m. I would usually be headed to the gym by now, but both Manga actually mentioned coffee about an hour before you work out apparently helps with fat loss. Here's the problem. As much as I love the smell of coffee, I hate coffee. Also, my only mug says this is probably Fireball. It's not, I promise. It's a little too early for that today. But that means for the rest of this week, I'm gonna drink a cup of coffee, go to the gym about an hour later, and we'll see if that helps. I don't know if it'll help. I don't know if I'll even be able to tell that it helps. But it's the last week, so I'm willing to try just about anything at this point. I'm not a coffee guy because I really don't like bitter stuff. I'm very much a sweet tooth. So I got this chocolate and blueberry flavored because I know I can't add sugar or anything because that'd kind of be defeating the purpose. So I tried to get something that hopefully would have been naturally sweeter. It's a little bit. It's still very bitter. Yeah, still don't love that. Maybe I'll figure something out. All right. That's Monday. I'll see you later for the interview. Bye-bye. Happy Tuesday. We're not recording this on a Monday, and I can finally say that. I mean, we never didn't record on a Monday. That never happened before. Never. But hello, welcome, thank you for being here again. I think that's the correct amount. So, this final week is kind of just, I mean, we're in the home stretch. We're almost there. So, to me, it's about just finishing it off, finishing strong, and part of what I think could stop people, and I think that we maybe haven't addressed as much, is the idea of injury. Because, you know, we're people. You can hurt yourself in lots of different ways, whether training or not. But let's start broad before I talk about maybe some examples they've given. How can someone best avoid getting injured while training?
Yeah, I think the best answer, shortest answer is stretch, honestly. A lot of injuries that come out of exercising, out of fitness, comes when we push our muscles to a place they're not comfortable for, or push them to a place they're not built for. And that can be, you know, the muscle itself. Sometimes you'll tear a muscle, or sometimes you'll have an injury in the joint that might, you know, because you pushed your arm through a movement that it's not really built for. Those are like the two, you know, main injuries we call them modes of injury. But stretching is probably my biggest recommendation, just because it gets the muscles ready for whatever you're going to do with your workout. And it's just a very solid way to prevent injury. The only other thing I'd say is, stick to where you're comfortable. Obviously, especially with resistance training, we want to be overloading. We want to be adding more weight each week, so it gets more difficult. Works your body a little bit more, but we're not going to jump from 0 to 100 within a week, because that's where we're going to hurt ourselves. Our body's not yet, built up the resistance to that kind of weight, and so that's going to lead to injury. So, stretching, and I guess sort of staying in your lane, following a good progression with your workouts.
Okay. I like your shirt, I just noticed what
Oh,
it said.
thank you.
It's very good. It's a great shirt. You should do
It's
that.
important. Yeah,
I mean, like I said, people are gonna hurt themselves, one way or another. How heavy are the dumbbells you lift? Straight up says at one point, like, injury while training is inevitable. Like, whether you're being super careful or not, it's just gonna happen. So let's say I do hurt something. We've talked about with rest days you should keep moving, but if I've got maybe an arm injury, should I still go do legs, or vice versa, or should I just be sitting at home and wait for that to heal?
I think it a little bit has to do with the intensity, the severity of the injury. That said, we'll look at your example. Yeah, let's say I hit an arm workout, my biceps are so sore. What should I do? I would say I think you're still definitely good to go and do a leg workout. You do have to be careful about which exercises you're choosing, that you're not putting a lot of strain on your arms, because there are some things like a deadlift, where your arms are still sort of involved. They've got to hold the bar, even if it's your legs that's like driving the movement. So choosing which exercises, being just to where, like, okay, I want to do this leg workout, but I'm holding it in my arms. Like this, maybe I need to switch and just skip this one for today. That said, if going away from your example, if you hurt your, part of your body that you're going to work next time, that's when you need to rest. Sleep, eat, and drink a lot of water. That's going to help, get those feeling better. But if you're comfortable enough to go into the gym, do something at a much lower intensity. That's perfectly fine. That's not regressing. That's just taking care of yourself. And if it feels like a high enough intensity where it's like, okay, my legs hurt, and trying to do these exercises, I can barely put on weight, or like I can barely keep my form. Go home. Rest that part of the body. Again, it's not regression, it's taking care of yourself.
The catchphrase for this bit, is that what I would say? How heavy are the dumbbells you lift has a whole chapter specifically about, like, equipment that can help prevent injury, like the belts or the arm things that, like, power lifters use. How necessary would that be, or not necessary would that be for someone who's just trying to go there? I haven't really seen anyone at the gym, definitely not the belt, that seems like a power lifter thing, but even like for the elbows or the knees, I have never really seen that stuff. So what would you say in terms of recommending that, or when you should get into that or think about it to prevent injury when going that hard?
This is actually such a good question, and it's one of my favorites. I've taught clinics before about certain movements, and this is always a question that comes up. It's like, okay, I see these people rocking this equipment. Is that something I need to worry about? I'm going to start with the belt, and I'm going to say for beginners, even intermediate lifters, it's not necessary. I'm going to pull up the numbers and just, once I'm a little bit done with the spiel, there is like a recommended amount where if you are lifting 1.5 times your body weight, that is when you're suggested to have the belt. So I weigh, 140, 150 pounds. I am nowhere near 300 pounds, but that's be about, about 230, 240. I'm not there, but that's when I'd wear that belt.
Okay.
That is a very much like a high intensity, high dedication piece of equipment. If you know that you're going to stick with fitness, and you specifically with belt, you want to get swole, you want to be able to lift as much as you can, that's an investment you might want to make. They have a large range of prices. They're not exactly cheap, but there's a large range of prices and a large range of like models for that kind of stuff. But that's a big dedication. Now, going to some of the other stuff, we mostly see like compression garments and shoes is the main thing we talk about. So some of the compression garments you see, like basketball players wear shooter sleeves, or even like heavyweight lifters will have something small on their elbows, something small on their knees, stuff like that. Those compression garments at that level, and actually mostly at any level, are more about, they're more about security. They're more about reinforcing joints. And for some people, there may be a physiological, there may be, a muscular reason they need that. So, for example, when I was growing up, I had a bone tumor on the side of my knee, and that would push on the muscles on my knee when I ran for soccer or cross country or track. And so I had a piece of, a compression garment for my knee, a little compression sleeve for my knee. And that just helped keep those muscles pretty still as I was running, so the tumor wouldn't be poking around. So that's like one of those things. Or, say you have, your joint is rotated a weird way. You found out from a doctor, or just when you're lifting, one of your elbows feels weird compared to the other. You might put on a compression garment to, reinforce that joint. That all said, there does not have to be a real specific physical reason to wear a sleeve. A lot of people in the gym, I sometimes work with athletes, them too, a lot of them wear them for psychological benefits. Just the feeling of having that support. And that's completely fine too. Some people say those kinds of garments are like a crutch, something like that. It's a cheat, it's maybe you move heavier weight, but that's wrong. It's all about comfort, getting in there. We talk over and over throughout these videos about, letting yourself be comfortable even if things seem kind of weird. This is one of those things. If it works, it makes you lift more, you feel better using it, you're more confident, then it works. You should use that. Don't let yourself say, okay, I'm not ready for that, or this isn't something that'd be helpful. The compression garments can be bought cheap. Find one that's kind of cheap. See, if your knees hurt, put one on your knee and wear it while you work out once or twice. See if it works. One of my least favorite things is how much people judge each other in the gym, and this is one of those things where, people say you're using a tool. It's a crutch. Stuff like that. It's not a crutch. It's just a tool. It's just something you're choosing to use to get better. And if it helps you get better quicker, boom, perfect. Last little bit about shoes. Shoes, another thing, there's specific kinds of shoes for specific kind of exercises. If you're doing more weightlifting, you want flatter shoes. I can go grab an example, but shoes with flatter bottoms, think like high tops, all stars, that kind of stuff. People wear Converse. That's what I'm looking for. People wear Converse to the gym if they're doing weightlifting, just because it's better to have a flatter surface. You can drive more through your feet and move a little bit more weight. That said, the more faster stuff we talk about, HIIT, more cardio or aerobics training, that's when you might have a running shoe with a more defined sole that's designed to help you run. So, just looking up what kind of shoes you want for those is my suggestion. And there's a ton of different brands. I will say usually the less popular you get, the better it will be to get more specific shoes. Just because big brands like Nike, Adidas, they are designed for sport, but and partially they're designed to meet popular demand, and so sometimes it has to look better than it works. Which, you know, not to trash on all of their work, because they have a lot of good scientists who actually develop some really fantastic stuff. But there are quite a few shoes that you look at and you're like, okay, this looks really cool. It looks really good with my fit. It probably won't help me get more fit. But yeah, that's for additional. Sorry to go on that little side tangent.
Actually,
I know that was a bit of talking.
No, that was great, because the next thing I was gonna ask was about shoes. There was a whole chapter about shoes, and they said pretty much what you said, including like the Converse. That part was apparently partially sponsored by Converse, and that's why they were able to say like wear Converse. Now my question is, they say at the end of that whole spiel, as long as you're not wearing like dress shoes, you'll probably be fine. But as someone who, like, for myself, I've been starting with long walks and then going to weightlifting. Should I maybe go get a pair of Converse or those flat-soled shoes and switch midway? Or does it really matter too much at this point? I suppose is my question. If you're trying to just be more general instead of like someone who specifically goes, I want to weightlift, I don't care about running, or vice versa.
I think if you have the resources and you don't mind, you know, spending those resources, I think it'd be a good idea. Changing shoes usually isn't too hard, too strenuous a process. So hopefully that shouldn't be your biggest limiter. But I think in terms of improvement, and sometimes in terms of safety, and especially actually in terms of learning at the beginning, I think it is something that can be very beneficial, having those two different types of shoes and making that switch.
All right. Well, I guess I gotta go shoe shopping. I noticed there was a hole in my shoes today anyway, so hey.
That happened.
Good excuse.
Yeah, perfect.
Now, I wanted to... I know I always say, do you have anything else? But since this is the last week, is there anything that I haven't been able to touch on that didn't fit in any of the other themes? Just any other notes in general, in a wider sense, that you really want to hammer home that I didn't think of?
Yeah, sure. Just a few things, and I think we touched on them lightly before, but just some things I want to reinforce. Yeah, looking back at our meetings, biggest thing, I am an exercise scientist. I can prescribe as much as I possibly can for exercise. I know there's so many benefits to exercise. Diet has to come first, unfortunately. No matter what, you know, workout routine you develop, no matter how perfect, if you don't have the diet to back it up, you're not going to see the results that you want. So diet really has to come first. That doesn't mean you have to have a perfect regimented plan and know this, that, and the other, but you need to make sure that, okay, if I'm making a change, I'm going to be working out more than I usually do. You need to be able to recognize, okay, then I need to be eating more, or I need to be eating more carefully. So diet comes first. Do not be afraid to try things. There's a lot of content out in the world, and it can be a little bit difficult to discern the good stuff from the bad stuff. Try it. Try it. No matter how goofy it looks, no matter how much or how little you've seen it, if it seems like something interesting to you, and it seems like it hits what you want to hit, try it. It is so hard. It's so easy for me, who's deep in the fitness scene, to say, don't feel self-conscious. Like, don't just be confident. It's like telling somebody who's nervous, like, oh, just don't be anxious, dog. But I want to say, take yourself and the other people in there a little less seriously. Everybody in there, no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter where they are in their fitness progression, is there to work on themselves. You are too. The people who judge others or make others feel bad about themselves, are so far in the minority. It's hilarious. That's why people in the gym scene laugh at people who go on TikTok or go on YouTube and go on Twitch. Sometimes I've seen live streamers who go on, and like they'll point fingers and they'll make fun of people at the gym. Everybody clowns them because everybody knows everyone's just trying to improve themselves. Just because you're at a place that they're not, or they're doing something that they're not, that doesn't make them any more or less valid. And I guess last thing is to have fun with it. Working out is tough. It's strenuous. It is challenging. I think one of the things, one of the first, I think it was maybe the second time we talked, second time we had one of these interviews, second week, you mentioned that despite what you thought and despite what you wanted to feel, it felt good.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit fun for it to feel good. So let yourself enjoy that. It may be sore, but there is definitely a feeling of accomplishment to go and do that every morning. And if you can find ways to make the workout something you enjoy, it's just going to get easier and easier and easier to go there day after day, or week after week, or month after month. If you love, you love walking, you love bicycling, you love rowing, then that's, the rowing, I'm in DC. That's one of the examples I have in my mind. But I don't think most people would be doing rowing. But if you have something you enjoy doing in your life, find a way to, exercise it. Find a way to turn it into fitness. And it's just going to be so much easier to get better.
I am guilty of looking around, but I'm never judging. I actually find it fascinating how almost every weird thing that I've seen in either manga that I'm like, do people really do that? Like, is that a real exercise? I go there and within the next, within usually the next day, but the next 2 days, I will see someone doing the exact exercise that I was questioning. I was like, who does wall push-ups? And I see them every time I'm there. Or, there was I can't remember what it was called, but the idea was, using a kettlebell and going across, which kind of has the same motion as chopping wood was their example. And I was like, is that really? And then I saw a guy doing it. I was like, well, I guess it is. I guess absolutely. So no matter how weird you think you look, there's someone else doing something that looks just as weird. And there's usually people who are doing something a little bit weirder too.
And to your example, there is that crossbody stuff, and there's gyms that have weighted hammers that people will use during those movements, just because they're like, oh, it's a lumberjack, hold a hammer. And there's people, I've seen people in the gym where I work doing Spider-Man moves, and I was like, I've got no idea what you could possibly be doing. I've got no idea what you're working. And then I go home and my curiosity gets on the better of me, so I type it in and look it up, and I'm like, oh shit, that's really good for body tension and core stabilization. What have I been doing? I can't believe I didn't know about the Spider-Man technique. I guess if I had one last thing, I think there's no wrong way to work out. There are so many correct ways to work out, which is great. You're gonna find a way you like to do something. There are a few ways to get things wrong. There are so many more ways to do things right. No matter how kind of odd or creative it is, there's no wrong way to do it. I think that'd probably be my big one.
Well, once again, and as always, thank you. That's all I've got for this week. I just am gonna keep pushing on, and see where we end up on Sunday. I'm close. I am officially down 8 pounds. So...
Yeah. Hey.
2 pounds to go. I got 5 days
Nice.
to do that. And I think it's doable at this point. Being under 220 for the first time in probably 3 years. No, not that long. 2 years. It was the pandemic. The pandemic did it to me. That's when it all.
To everybody. Yep.
That it feels good though. It feels good to know that number. The second digit is no longer a 2. Now we just gotta change the first digit. Eventually, that'll come well after this video is out, I'm sure. But thank you so much.
For you
For me.
and for your audience. Love yourself. That's all.
Thank you.
Oh,
It's so sweet.
yeah.
Thank you so much. All right. See you all tomorrow. Howdy. It's Wednesday. Usually, I guess I've been talking about exercise stuff. Like I said, I don't think this week will be too heavy on like longer segments or bits like I did in the past with the stretching or the home exercise, etc. Because I just want to focus on getting it done this week, getting it done for myself so that I can be happy when I edit it, so that I can know that this was worth it. But I still want to talk about things. And I think a good thing to talk about is something that Heath and I alluded to in yesterday's segment. Make the exercise fun. It should be enjoyable. It doesn't have to be a massive, miserable slog where you just are in pain. Maybe that is enjoyable to you. I'm not kink shaming, but there are plenty of ways to work in little bits of exercise into your day that you wouldn't think of or make things fun. Obviously, music, podcasts, if you're at the gym, just turn on your favorite songs and do some good workout. If you are at home, turn on your favorite TV show and stare at that while you work out. That's a good way to make it fun. Whenever I'm on the treadmill, I watch an episode of Kamen Rider because it's just something for my mind to focus on that's not, I'm walking for 20 minutes and that's it. Like I just sit there and I don't sit there. I walk there and I watch an episode of Kamen Rider. There are plenty of other ways that you could gamify it. Speaking of games, if you have a Switch and you can afford it, I found Ring Fit to be really good and really fun back when I first got it. I haven't been using it for this, but it's good and it can be a really good workout. I think the one thing you got to keep in mind if you do Ring Fit is that it does the Nintendo thing of constantly telling you to take breaks, but because you're exercising, it does it after like every level. And I feel like back when I was trying to only do that, I was stopping before I got a real workout in, because it would say, hey, you want to stop today? And I was like, well, I guess that was a workout, and I'd stop instead of probably pushing myself as much as I should have been. But as long as you keep that in mind, it is really good. It's a good workout. It's pretty fun. So if you like games and you want to do it that way, if you don't want to go to a gym, it's like $70, but that's that. Then you have your workout device instead of a monthly membership. There's lots of other small ways that you can just work in tiny bits of exercise. You know, if you don't have time to go to the gym, if you're doing some 30-hour raid for Final Fantasy 14, I don't understand MMOs anymore. Not even anymore. I don't understand MMOs. I don't even know if that's still a thing. But if you've got stuff you got to do all day, take a 10-second break to do a set of push-ups. Do a little bit. Come back, get back to work. Do a little bit, get back to work. If you're at a job where you got to stand all day, just when no one's looking, do a couple lunges, do a couple squats. Who's going to stop you? Who's going to stop you from squatting? Nobody. Unless you're like doing it in a really weird place. Don't like go to the grocery and start squatting in the aisles. That's weird. But if you just gotta loosen up your legs a bit, do something while you're standing there. If you're going to the store, park a little farther away than you normally would. Make yourself walk farther. There's lots of tiny things that you can do that aren't necessarily going to the gym or, doing a full set. If you don't have time for it, you can make lots of tiny moments. It's up to you, is what I'm saying. And nobody can do you better than you. So do what is best for you. Find a way to make it fun for you. If you like certain sports, if you used to play a sport, try and find a league nearby, or just go play basketball by yourself. You can do that by yourself. See if anybody else is around. Get them in on it. Make some friends. God forbid anybody make friends anymore. Trust me, I certainly don't. But seriously, there are so many ways that you can make this an enjoyable experience, and eventually you might find yourself going, okay, now is the point where I need to start going to the gym and working out for real. But once you're at that point, you're probably just going to enjoy the feeling of working out in general. You're not going to need the game anymore. But again, do anything you want. Make a game out of it. Make it a checklist. Find the method that works for you to keep you on track. For me, it was clearly making a video. Again, this is the most seriously I've ever taken a fitness journey, ever. And I'm really happy that I did it, and I'm mad at myself that I didn't do it before. That it took this stupid-ass idea to get me to actually do this. Because I feel a lot better. I am a lot happier now. I'm always a little tired, but that's my life. I would say I am less tired than I used to be. When I was sleeping more and then drinking caffeine, I think I was more awake on the caffeine, but then I would immediately plummet. And now I can go pretty much all day without feeling too tired. I just feel regular baseline amount of tired that a 25-year-old should in modern day with society how it is. And the bags, that's just how I look. You can go back and see them in every video. That's just what I look like. So don't think too much about that. That's pretty much all I got for today. I really want to go watch more Kamen Rider, so I'm going to go do that. Bye! Hi there. I'm not setting up the lighting because this is a short one. I have caught up to how heavy are the dumbbells you lift, and I can now confidently say, somehow the fat jokes get worse. I know I just kind of talked about that the other day, that I felt weird about all the fat jokes for a manga that's supposed to be about getting people into this. And so then they introduce a second character, and now they're calling each other fat, like what happens in Plus Size Delve. I get the gimmick. I get that it's just a gag manga and everything is stupid and every character is kind of crazy, but there feels like a palpable difference between laughing at the muscle fetishist or the intentionally insane Russian stereotype character and laughing at a fat person. You know what I mean? Especially when the people who might be reading this for the information may not necessarily be in the best shape. What muscle-bound gym freak is gonna read this and go, I didn't know about weightlifting? It's a little weird, IMO. But despite that unironic great source of information for a lot of this stuff, as I've mentioned before, everything that I've seen in here, I then see at the gym in the next couple days, if not the next day. You saw in that interview that I mentioned gear, and Heath went into shoes, and then I said, actually, I just read a chapter all about shoes that said all the things that you said, so, clearly they've got something right. Thus, I'll give more final reviews at the end, I guess, maybe, I don't know. For now, I do kind of unironically recommend both. If you really need this kind of resource, there's lots of other resources, but, if this is how you want to do it, and you don't mind a lot of fan service, and just some insane gag manga-ass plots, then absolutely go for it. I think it's pretty fun. Plus Size Delve is not as funny, but also has more heart, as in like between the characters, there's a lot more interpersonal relationships and all that, whereas How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift is just like comedy through and through. Anything that they build up is either forgotten or reversed in the next chapter. And that is funny, that can be funny, but in terms of building a coherent plot, it gives up. It does not care. That's pretty much it for today. I'll give more final and extended thoughts on these manga at the end. Now caught up with both. Now I just have 3 more days to finish this up and drop 1 pound. I'm almost there. This is crazy. It's crazy that I've made it this far. Never thought I could have done it. Hello? Sorry, I'm not gonna eat anything crazy again today. Today's not really my cheat day. I'm gonna move that to Sunday, and we're gonna eat a nice big burger in celebration. I am so excited for that. I am. This smile is genuine. I am so excited to eat that burger. I do still want to talk about something diet related today, because that's what Friday has been. And it's not going to be anything crazy or scientific or anything like that this time. It's mainly just to say, hey, supplements and fad diets, I won't say they're all entirely bullshit, but I will say most of them are. They are called fad diets for a reason. They're just fads. They're not really based in too much actual science or research. And supplements are notoriously poorly regulated, especially in America. So please, seriously, do real research before you do something like that. Stuff like paleo and primal, I guess is what it's also called now, just kind of horseshit. They're kind of making a lot of that stuff up. I'm not entirely sure about keto. I know there is some science behind going into ketosis or whatever. That again, do research, see if it's actually legitimate, see what real doctors have to say, not one doctor who already probably would have agreed with them in the first place. These are both things that Plus Sized Elf and How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift do mention. Most supplements being just kind of hogwash, or how a lot of gyms or diet programs will advertise how many pounds people lose in 1 week, 2 weeks. That stuff isn't really healthy to begin with, A. But B, it's also because the gyms are the example that How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift use. They'll have people go on these fad diets, these crash diets. They're called crash diets because, yes, your weight will go down real fast. But what they then point out is that once you start to eat normally again, your weight's gonna go right back up. And then it's gonna be harder to lose that weight because your body is now not used to it. I don't remember the exact wording. I'll put the panel here. Seriously, please do your research. Even, again, like I've mentioned this before, the generic, hey, you want to lose weight fast, cut your carbs, isn't necessarily a great idea. There are good carbs and there are bad carbs, just like there are good fats and there are bad fats, and you want to watch those. And it's not too hard to figure out what's good for you. I mean, white bread, not as good as whole wheat bread. There's a lot of very simple things like that. You can get carbs from broccoli or blueberries. There's lots of places to get good fats, good carbs, good protein. But generally, if you don't want to measure your PFC balance for every meal you eat, that's fine. Just kind of keep it in mind and then think, eat less calories than I'm burning. And as long as you know, hey, I'll eat 3 chocolate bars today, that's less calories. Yeah, technically, but that's also a lot of sugar. That's not probably good for you. Just use your common sense and you'll probably be fine. Again, I'm not a doctor. If you really feel the need to get a lot of expert advice, there are nutritionists that you can find. There is lots of good information out there. There's also clearly, though, a lot of bad information and people pushing BS supplements and pills. Please, seriously, before you embark on any kind of specialized diet, do your research, make sure it's okay. Don't just listen to a guy on TikTok who claims to eat a bunch of livers and say that that's fine. It's not. And as a final note to all of that, people who look like this, modern action stars, all that stuff, please, seriously, don't look to them as an example of what it necessarily means to be healthy. To look like this, to be a professional bodybuilder, you have to start taking steroids. Like, that's not hypothetical, that's just a fact. That's the only way to get to that degree. And we as a society have had an increasing problem with body dysmorphia and depression because of that, which is exacerbated long past now Hollywood or magazine covers, and now includes people on Instagram and on YouTube. You see people who look inhuman, and we are now being told that that's the ideal, and that's not true at all. That is fake. This is manufactured. This isn't real. Trust me, I know that it's hard to just say, don't think about that and don't feel sad about that. It's a lot more complicated than that. But as you work on yourself, if you choose to do this, please try and find happiness in yourself. Just try. I know, again, it's hard to not judge yourself against other people. That's what humans do. But you are you. Your body is going to process foods differently. It's going to shed or gain weight differently than other people. As Heath and I have both said, there are many ways to diet and exercise as there are people. Because what is right for you is right for you. Not what some dude says that a caveman used to eat, because he's probably wrong about that. Just even naturally, none of the animals or plants that we have today are even close to what they were eating. If you take anything away from this section, please do your research before you just start believing people on the internet, including me. If you don't believe something I've talked about, please go look it up. There is nothing wrong with being critical about this stuff. I did it. 10 pounds in 4 weeks. That's it. That's the update. I'm just really happy. I'm really happy with myself. I started to get doubtful that I would hit it in these last couple days, but waking up and seeing that number made me feel really good. Tomorrow's the last day. I'll have a nice long update then to recap everything. But yeah, that's it. I just feel good. Hello. I won't lie to you. It's June the 10th right now. I said I was going to do the One Punch Man thing again at the other end of that month, and then I forgot. So here we are. I've still been working out almost every day, if not every day. So if this hasn't improved, I'm gonna be pissed. Because it's been about 3 months. I know that I can do more in general than I did last time, but you know, those are sets. Like, I can do 3 sets of 10 push-ups, you know, when I do a few other exercises between them. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do 30 in a row. The 10K thing, still can't run. That's never gonna happen. I walk like at least 2 miles every day. Sometimes it's 3 or 4, or one day it was like 5. So that's actually a little better. Otherwise, I don't know how this is gonna go. Let's find out. Squats. At this point, it's becoming more a test of my own patience than actually hurting my legs. I'm gonna stop at 30 because I'm just bored. I don't know what to tell you. I just got really bored. I'm standing here in silence. That got, well, fine. You know what, a few more. Let's hit 50. 40. Ooh, okay. Started to feel the burn a little bit. Yeah, 50's a good place to stop. Let's move on to push-ups. I put in earbuds this time so I don't get bored. Oh, That's 20. My arms are still a little sore from the other day. Give me a minute, I think I could do 10 more. Hold on. 10! There you go, 30. I'd say 10 to 30 is a good jump. Because that means it's time for sit-ups. I'm stopping at 20. I don't know why, I've always found sit-ups to be way harder than anything else. So that one's not as much of an increase, but maybe it's the gut that does it. The gut makes it a lot harder. I know my abs have gotten stronger. I cannot fucking do a sit-up. There's your baseline after almost 3 months, but here's an interview that's also 2 months later than it's supposed to be. Welcome.
Oh.
You're here in person.
Yeah.
Wow.
Finally.
We're outside on a nice, beautiful, rainy day.
Of course.
And I said that we were going to do one last one. That was 2 months ago.
Well, it's better late than never.
Hey,
it's better
exactly.
late than never.
Exactly. It has given me the chance to think of a couple more questions that I now have after doing it for a few more months. Shouldn't be too long. Trust me, this video is long enough.
A little bit more. What's a drop in the bucket at this point?
Exactly, right? So my first question is really more about the workout plan. Every week I have my 5 days and I'm cycling through body parts.
Yeah.
But on those days I tend to kind of do the same thing.
Yeah.
So I suppose my question here is, should I really be mixing it up more than the days? Like when I do a day of, triceps and chest, is it okay that I'm doing the same thing on that day every week? Or is there really good reasons to be like, oh, instead of doing wrist curls for my forearm, this week I should do hammer curls or something like that?
Yeah, adding more variety, as you go through those cycles.
Yeah.
Is what it sounds like. Not really, honestly. People will add some variety to their plans often because they're bored, honestly. Or, you learn something new, you see something new online, you're like, maybe I should try that. And that's something you might use and replace with whatever you're doing. But I think, especially looking, at the format for this video, getting people into fitness, starting your journey, keep it boring. Because boring is consistent.
Yes.
And that takes out the challenge of overthinking, relearning things, learning things flat, trying to start new things. I think it's perfectly fine to, if you have, 4 weeks, just cycling those over and over. That's what people do in real life, and that's what they do, especially as you go older and older. It's, it's super useful to have something that you've learned, that you're really good at, and that you're comfortable with. Keeping those is perfectly good, from week to week, or from month to month, or from year to year. Now, again, going back to the boring part, doing the same 4 week exercises, 4 weeks of exercises for 10 years, at some point you're gonna be like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
Or if your plan is not covering every part of your body, you're gonna have some parts of your body that are really well trained and some parts that are not. And so, if that's the concern and that's, the direction you're coming from when thinking about, do I need a change? Poke around a little bit. Maybe, spend a month trying those new exercises. And then if you like them, then use them in the next month. But if you don't, then return to your good and steady. There's nothing wrong with that. Keeping those same exercises if they work for you and you can do them well.
Now, my next question is, I think we've talked briefly about it, but it's extra pertinent today because I threw out my back yesterday at work.
Ooh.
Yeah, I just popped it and I was like, I suddenly can't breathe. With the back, it's extra hard because if I injured my arm, I could still kind of do my legs.
The arm and do the other bits.
Your back is kind of, whether or not it's actually in action, it's there and you need to be able to breathe to actually do anything. If someone has injured themselves, should they just be resting? Should, especially with something like your back, do want to try little things. How should I really be? Because I want to go back. I want to go to the gym. I feel bad not going now.
Yeah.
But my dad woke me up this morning and was like, "Do you want to go?" And I walked out and I went, "No, I'm okay." I got out of bed. I was like, "I can't breathe, so no."
Yeah. That is an excellent question. Because, like you said, a lot of people, once you start, you want to go back. I know people who, they'll go through injuries and they'll appreciate having that rest of not doing anything for like 3 days, and then they get itchy again and they want to go back. My advice, because this happens all the time, pro athletes, just fitness junkies, people starting out, people are just, trying to maintain a good fit, especially the back, those get tweaked all the time. Because like you said, you go and work it out in the gym, and then you go to work and you work it out there.
Yeah.
So it's very easy for those to get hurt. What I'd recommend, and what I've been taught to prescribe to people, 1-2 days off of that muscle group. If you tweak it on Tuesday and you've got a back workout, back and chest, or whatever you're lining up on Thursday, maybe push that off until next week. What we don't want to do is we don't want to stagnate. So that's, I tweaked my back, I'm not going to work anything. Yeah. Back is especially a testy topic because it is included, like you said, it's included in so much that you do. A ton of muscles in our arms, in our legs, in our chest, and our hips have little attachments to parts of our back. And so if you hurt your back, everything's going to be affected a little bit. And like you said, if you're bending over with a hurt back, it'll catch your breath and you go, and you can't breathe for a little bit. So my recommendation is keep doing what you're doing. As long as it's not on the back, do everything lighter. No matter what you hurt, your body's still fighting to recover. So your whole body's working to fix a little area. So we're going to give the whole body a little bit of a break until we feel more comfortable, we're more confident, we feel like everything's back together, then we can start going hard again. And especially when you're beginning, play it safe. The gym is still going to be there. And like you said, it's not like you're going to hurt yourself and you're going to be like, I'm done with that. I'm done gymming. Yeah. Again, you're going to be like, okay, I can relax for a couple days. And then you're going to be like, shoot, I want to wake up and go back. So that's sort of my prescription for rest. Take it all easy and leave that muscle group alone for a little bit. Let it recover. I think we've talked a little bit about active recovery and that kind of stuff of finding ways to keep your body moving, keep your systems flowing without putting a lot of strain on that muscle group. I do want to quickly talk about people who are very, they want to get into the gym ASAP. And, okay, it hurts today, but maybe I can power through tomorrow. And when I've learned about the psychology of athletes, so when you get injured, there's those two extremes of they're going to rest real hard, or they're going to ignore it, and they're going to work real hard. Resting real hard can have dangers. It can set you back. Getting back too soon is much, much worse. Because that's when it goes from a tweak to a sprain, to a tear, to a break. And then you're out for months versus resting a week. You're worth it. You're worth that time.
Now, my last question is, I guess, more of an admission. I've still been going to the gym all the time, still doing that just as much. The diet part has not been as intensive, but I'm still eating a lot less and burning a lot more, certainly, than I was. Yeah. But I've noticed kind of a plateau. It's a few pounds down from where I was at the end of filming the main month, but it's stayed there for a long time. I know some plateaus are normal. Like, at what point should I be like, okay, it's because I'm not eating enough salad. Yeah.
Like you said, plateaus are normal, and especially when you're getting into it, and especially if you're focused on burning fat, those plateaus can be 2 to 3 months. So I honestly wouldn't worry too much. It's really easy to go to the gym, and we're making these videos, but changing your diet, so much harder. Making those dietary changes when you're hitting those plateaus, that's kind of where I'd recommend you hit a little harder. That's when you start need to up in the intensity, especially in your cardio work. That's really is what's going to break that ceiling. Or, if you like the weight you're at and maybe you just want to change it into something else, maybe you start thinking about how can I make my weightlifting more intense so that maybe I'm not losing as much weight, but that weight that I have now is going to be transformed into something more productive, something more healthy.
I have no transition. That was pretty much all I had. Do you have anything else you want to fill in? You want to plug anything? It could be your own things. It could be other places or resources that you think are good or what have you.
I wish I had some of my stuff to plug. But, you know, I wish I had a fitness TikTok and an Instagram page. But I'm still, you know, even as I'm giving advice here, I'm still learning and I'm still, you know, trying to improve and figure out how I want to, you know, what shape I actually want to be in and how I want to get there and what I want to specialize in. But I do want to say, again, we say it every time, just get out there and try it. Even failing's not wrong. Going to the gym is a win by itself. Wanting to get better is something to be proud of for yourself, and the people around you should be proud of you too. Take your time. You are doing it right. You may not be exactly where you want to be. You may not look how you want to look, but wanting to get better, thinking, planning to get better, you deserve a round of applause for that. And you do too. Give yourself some grace because it takes a while and it takes a bit to figure out how you want to do it and how best to do it. You are fantastic. Thinking about it, planning about it, just watching this video, absorbing it.
Yeah.
You're fantastic. I love you. But, you know, give yourself some grace, give yourself some time, and try to, you know, have a bit more understanding for yourself because it can be very intense. You'll get there. I promise. I promise. I promise.
Thank you very much
thank you
again
for
for this final interview. Thank you again for watching. Let's go back 2 months in time and see me talk about whatever the fuck I talked about back then. Woo!
We'll do the little blur transition.
Yeah, a star wipe.
Yeah, yes. Perfect.
And with that, it is time to bring this whole ordeal to an end. It is day 28, which isn't exactly a month, but it's been 4 weeks. I figured you wouldn't get too mad at me for that. And it also happens to be Easter Day. I didn't even really plan that. That just kind of happened. So, happy Easter. It's hard to say anything different than what I've been saying this whole time, if I'm being quite honest. Because the honest to God truth is that I feel so much better. Mentally, emotionally, physically. This has been an incredible experience, and I am very, very happy that I did this. Do I think anyone else should do it the way I did? God, no. I went way overboard way too fast. The only reason I was able to keep it to this extreme of a level is because I was doing this, because I was recording every day, and I had something to keep me accountable to do so. That being said, even in the last 2 weeks, I started to relax a little bit on some things because I just realized I was going too hard. Do I plan to continue to go as hard as I did? God, no. Probably not going to wake up at 8 a.m. anymore. I will relax a little more with the diet, you know, maybe have a burger every once in a while. That was the hardest part of getting through this. Honestly, I think my biggest issue actually was undereating. I think I went too hard. Now, this is an issue with my own psychology, I would say, where the moment I decided I was going to do this, I just went from overeating to undereating like it was nothing. Like, there was no thought about, I'm going to start undereating. No, I was just like, I'm going to eat less. And then I ate way less. There were a lot of days I barely probably hit 1,500 calories, and I was burning 3,000 plus a day. That's not really a healthy deficit to have. You should probably plan to eat like 200 to 500 less than what you burn. That's kind of a healthy weight loss goal for like a pound or 2 pounds a week. Again, it's only because I was as big as I was that I was able to shed this much. If you are a lot closer to what they recommend your weight be, then it's going to be harder to shed a lot of those pounds. But, you know, if you're bigger, you're going to notice the number go down real fast, and then it's going to start to slow down as you get closer, and that's fine. That's natural. Again, everybody's body is different. Everybody's psychology is different. You should be measuring what happens to you compared to you. Don't think that you need to lose 10 pounds in 4 weeks like I did. That might not be healthy for you. If Heath lost 10 pounds in a month, that'd be very concerning. Something would be very wrong. Again, I was only able to do that because I was already where I was. And if it goes up a little bit, again, remember that's maybe the muscle mass or just a natural flux. Your weight is gonna fluctuate. It won't be a straight line down, and that's fine. That is normal. Please don't get discouraged because it goes up for a day or two. There are also a wide variety of biological factors at play. Men tend to burn fat more efficiently and more quickly than women. If you've been pregnant, I'm pretty sure that has a chance of making it harder to lose the weight. There is just a whole list of things that you should be mindful of. And if you want to do this, I cannot stress this enough, please make sure you are doing it in a healthy manner. Starving yourself so that you lose a bunch of weight is not healthy. Undereating as much as I did, probably not good for me. I just didn't think about it until I was near the end, and once I hit there, I was willing to eat a lot more calories than I had been. At the same time, if you are comfortable with where you are, please don't let this video make you think you need to lose weight, that you are any less valuable as a person. You are not. Only do this if you really feel like it is what you want to do. There's a good chance you might not need to lose any weight, but maybe you just want to get more active. That's fine. That's what how heavy are the dumbbells you lift is for. It's a lot of exercises and less diet stuff. If you want to focus more on your diet and you know how to exercise or you're fine with just running or swimming, look at Plus Sized Elf. That's all about diet. Seriously, I cannot stress it enough. I know I'm kind of harping on it a lot here, but your situation is your situation. There are a lot of resources and studies and all of this stuff that can help you and help guide you, but at the end of the day, unless you are talking to a doctor or a nutritionist or a trainer who is working specifically with you, you gotta remember that what's online is generalized and may not necessarily be right for you. I suppose I really should give like an actual review of these manga. I know I've sprinkled in thoughts. They're both pretty good. Plus Sized Elf is very fun, but as I've said before, it's a lot lighter on the health aspects. You'll get more detailed paragraphs about how things are supposed to work, but you're not getting that every chapter. You'll get 2 or 3 chapters in a row where they go pretty in-depth into various topics, but then the next 3, 4, 5 are just comedy or will barely mention something. It's just kind of an excuse to have fun. How heavy are the dumbbells you lift? I really enjoy as both a gag manga and a resource, because every chapter does have something for you to learn, something for you to do. Some of them aren't as practical. You start to get into a lot of repeated stuff, and you can tell later on, like, they didn't really have anything new to do here. So, like, here's 2 pages just telling you in order to do exercises they've already recommended. Or sometimes they'll have this issue where they'll prescribe a workout set, and there will be an exercise in there that doesn't show up until later. So for example, you'll see like hack squats on a list, and I went, what the fuck are those? And I didn't get there until probably 10 chapters later, if not more. I was like, oh, that's what they meant. Again, I feel really weird about what I can only call fat shaming in both of them. It's used for comedic effect in both, sure. It's not so much shameful as it is just aspects of the character. Like, all the girls in Plus Sized Elf are big, but they'll make fun of each other for specific points. Like, everybody will make fun of Arufuda's stomach or Kuroda's butt, but at the same time, they're still making fun of each other for being bigger, which doesn't really feel good if you're reading it as a bigger person. Like, you just feel like you're also being attacked. Or you'll look at how heavy are the dumbbells you lift, and they are clearly using it for comedic effect with, you know, Hibiki just transforming into various different shapes. And like, that's the joke, because that doesn't actually happen to anybody. But at the same time, it is the constant sticking point of her character that she's the fat one. Or there will be chapters where they're really focusing on her trying to exercise, and it's always so that she can lose weight. Yeah, sure, that's a reason a lot of people exercise. Should she be made fun of constantly for being fat when she is trying to make that improvement? I'd say no. Now, sure, again, the comedic effect is that she always relapses immediately because she just wants to go eat a bunch of food, and that's what got her in this situation to begin with. If someone is trying to lose weight, even as their friend, it is not helpful to constantly make fun of their weight. They are working on that, and you're just calling them chubby. Now, maybe you could say like, hey, maybe you should stop eating as much. Yeah, probably. That'd be helpful advice. That's keeping your friend accountable. But to say, you should stop eating so much, you fat piece of shit? Like, chill. Cry of pain or exercise or whatever, piggy? So it's really awkward. Either way, I am very looking forward to the artist and writer's new manga about buff ladies fighting. No shame. I am very happy about that existing. Should you use these as resources like I did? Sure, yeah. If you are fine with the fan service that comes with it and the weird humor, do it. They're both really good resources. You know, when I was talking to Heath, every time I brought stuff up, he was constantly pretty impressed with what these were recommending and how spot on it really was. They're clearly well researched and well meaning. Are there other resources that you could use? Absolutely, and you should probably sprinkle some of those in. I've definitely had to look up a few other exercises, but pretty much every time I went to the gym, there would be at least once or twice that I pulled out my phone, looked at my document where I'd been keeping the exercises that they recommend, and like re-looking at the pages to see, hey, is my form right? Am I doing this right? What actually was used for triceps or shoulders or core? Because you can't remember all of that. That's fine, you're human, and they've got your back. You don't have to. You know, there are plenty of ways to lose weight. You could just run. Just run. That's all you need to do. Run and eat better. Or just go for walks, bike, swim. If you don't want to go to the gym, maybe don't read How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift? Because almost everything in there is about going to the gym. It's about free weights, it's about weight machines. Now, they introduce a lot of stuff that you can do at home, but it is the vast minority, I would say. On the other hand, plus-sized elf, I probably would recommend either way. They don't really show the exercises in as much detail, but they're almost all exercises that you can do at home. They're introducing stuff that you can just sprinkle in throughout your day. You know, if you're standing at work and nobody's there, do a couple lunges, do a couple squats. Who's gonna stop you? So if you don't want to go to a gym, I would still probably say read Plus Sized Elf for the diet stuff and just to know a few things that you can do at home outside of just going for walks or biking. Again, a lot of it is diet. That being said, exercise certainly helps. The more muscle you put on, the more calories you're gonna burn throughout the day. While you are working out, it is eating at the carbs, yes, but those muscles that you build are gonna eat at the fat that you have. So putting on some muscle will absolutely help you throughout the day, even when you're not exercising. You don't gotta get jacked, but training it a bit will help. In the end, am I glad I did this? Very. I feel incredible, and I feel like I will only feel more incredible as I continue to try and lose this weight. Overall, this has done a massive amount for my self-control. You know, would I like to eat a chocolate cake? Yeah, I would. But I'm fine just eating a salad, going to bed, I don't care. And that is easily the biggest thing. If I had lost 0 weight, but figured that out, this would have been worth it. Absolutely. If you don't have that level of impulse control, that's fine. Have someone keep you accountable. Have a friend text you every day, or a reminder show up on your phone that just says, hey, what did you eat today? And just think about it. Hey, did I do a good job of this today? Did I do a bad job? Like, you don't have to be crazy about it. Just generally keep in mind about how many calories was that meal. That quick ballpark math will really carry you a long way. You don't really have to get insane about your PFC balance and all of that stuff until you're trying to become like an athlete or a bodybuilder. Will it help? Yes, absolutely. If you want to take it that far, do it. It will help you lose that weight. But you don't have to really be concerned about too much else outside of the calories and not eating things like sugar as much or trans or saturated fats, that kind of stuff that you know is bad for you, just be mindful of where it is and how much of that you're eating, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You will lose weight if you just generally keep in mind how many calories you're eating and you're avoiding the stuff that you know is really bad for you. Finally, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching me do this, watching me go through this. I hope that you found anything in here useful. Just one piece of info that you didn't know about, that you were fascinated by, that you will use in your life. That's all I want from this. That everybody can get something out of this, even if it's just entertainment. Maybe you are already like a bodybuilder and you knew all of this. I hope you just had fun watching me go through it and talk about the funny naked elf manga. That's good enough for me. This has been an insane 4 weeks. It honestly flew by so fast. It feels like I started this 2 weeks ago. And to think I'm down about 10 pounds after it is insane. Here is me in a large size shirt. Is it still a little tight? Yeah. But I feel comfortable wearing it. And that was the goal. That was the proof that I needed, that this has been worth it. I know I'm saying a lot of things are proof that this has been worth it, but seriously, it's those tiny things. It's those tiny measurable things in your life that you start to notice over time that make you realize, I am doing it. Because it's hard to really kind of notice, like, oh, am I getting thinner as you see yourself slowly progress day to day? But then just today, my sister said that, yeah, I look skinnier. And I felt great about that. That made me feel really good inside. I don't know if I really do, because I've been seeing myself in the mirror every single day and filming myself every single day. So that gradual change has not really picked up in my mind the way seeing me 2 weeks ago and seeing me this week probably did. Maybe you've noticed over the course of this video. The important takeaway of this is that it is a process. It's going to take time. There is no easy way to jump the line, cut off 50 pounds out of nowhere. It's just not gonna happen. I'm sorry. Anything that tells you that there is not really healthy and is not sustainable. Even just on the low end of things you hear a lot, like I said, cutting out carbs. Yeah, you'll lose weight pretty quickly, but that's because it's mostly water weight, and you will bloat right back up the moment you start eating carbs again. And that's generally considered a normal way to do it. That's not one of those crazy fad diets that I was shitting on the other day. And please, seriously, the most important part of all of this is that you should be happy with yourself. Whether or not you are where you want to be, please still be happy with yourself. Don't hate yourself because you're not 30 pounds lighter or 30 pounds heavier. That is not helpful. Be happy with yourself that you are willing to make that change. Stop hating yourself or beating yourself up. You will just feel too bad to start a diet because you are too busy hating yourself for it. So while yes, biologically, diet is the most important thing, but me being who I am, the first step always has to be psychologically. You have to want this for yourself. Nobody can want it for you. If you are someone who does need someone's validation to do something like this, then yeah, I will be proud of you. And again, this is all to be healthy. You can be underweight just as much as you can be overweight. And being mindful of that is very important. If you need to put on pounds, do it. Body dysmorphia is a serious issue, as I've talked about. And I'm not a therapist, but I do want you to be happy. But I will say the only way to do that is to start being happy with yourself as you are and move yourself from there. Take pride in who you are as a person, and you will be willing to make the changes to your body that you feel that you need. And just truthfully and factually, doing that exercise, losing that weight, or gaining the weight that you need will make you happier, just chemically. Does that mean that this is a replacement for antidepressants? No. You cannot exercise your way out of chronic depression or anxiety or a various number of psychological diseases. Those people are wrong. But from a baseline standpoint, you very well could get yourself feeling a whole lot better if you did that. But if you are happy with where you are, then please continue to live your life. Be happy with who you are. That's great. That is incredible. I am so happy for you. Truly. I'm notoriously a little too proud of who I am. And yet, I'm still doing this because I know that as perfect as I am, I always have room to get a little... I'm sorry, I can't say that with a straight face. As much as I love myself, there is still room for improvement. Again, seriously, thank you so much for watching. I don't know how long this is. Probably a little too long, but I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. If you like this, please like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube things, share this with people. This was a massive undertaking, and I don't want to be that guy, but I really want this to feel like it was worth it. So I would really appreciate it if you enjoyed this, for you to share it around, tell people about it. So much time, effort, and love went into this on my part, on Heath's part, on all the people around me who were willing to give me advice, different exercises, discuss with me various dieting techniques. So many people were involved with this directly or indirectly, just by talking to me and keeping me accountable. And I want this to feel like nobody wasted their time for doing this. Is that selfish? Yeah, a little bit. I won't lie. But to me, it's just to feel like I did this for a good reason. I just want to share this. I want more people to have access to this, to hear these words. The massive driving point of this video was how much I wanted to make it accessible. As I said very early on, a lot of the resources that you see or hear are coming from people who are already very much in shape. And it's hard to hear that from those kinds of people. And so I wanted to provide something from the perspective of somebody who, yeah, needed to take off a few pounds and say, hey, I know this is very hard. Trust me, I've spent years avoiding it. But if I can do it, you can do it. And here's how you can do it. And that was why I wanted to make this video. And if you can help me get that information to more people who may need it, who may want it, it would mean the world to me. Seriously. I just want to help people. If I'm being honest, that is the reason for a lot of the stuff I make. I just want to give people something. Entertainment, laughs, important information, whatever it is. I just want to give the world something. And I feel like this was well worth trying to give. Seriously, thank you if you made it this far. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So thank you. I hope to see you in another video. Maybe a few down the line. I might look a whole lot thinner than I do even now. But for now, I'm going to leave you. And I'm going to go eat a burger and fries. Because I very much deserve it.